Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the El Cajon City Council meeting. The meeting is called to order. I'd like to ask the city clerk to please call the roll.
All council members are present.
Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Remain standing for a brief moment of silence. I was wondering if Archon Selma would be willing to lead us in the pledge.
What a great honor, Mr. Mayor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. The city clerk has posted orders of adjournment of the December 10th, 2019 meeting and the agenda of the January 14th, 2020 meeting in accordance with state law, council, and housing authority policy. We have no presentations on today's agenda, and so that brings us to agenda changes. Staff, do you have any agenda changes?
Sir, we have no changes to the agenda.
Council? That brings us to consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion. According to the recommendation listed below, with the concurrence of the City Council, a council member or person in attendance may request discussion of a consent item at this time. Council members, do you wish to pull any of the consent items? Staff?
No, sir.
Angela, do we have any speakers for consent items?
No, sir, we do not.
I'd like to make a motion then to approve the consent items. Moved and seconded, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
That brings us to public comment. At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council, Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, City Council and Housing Authority members may briefly respond to statements or questions. An item, of course, may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, do we have any cards under public comment?
Yes, sir, we have 3 speakers. The first one is Paul Palumbo.
Well, sir, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council, Mayor Wells. My name is Paul Palumbo. I have worked for the city for 22 years and worked for the city of Escondido for 7, about 29 years. I'm saddened here to tell you that I've just retired this past December. It's been an honor and a privilege to work here at the city of El Cajon in fleet services as the police and fire mechanic. I am very grateful for the career the city has given me and learned so much. I love my job and look forward every day to come to work and put police cars back in new condition. The level of service I have offered the El Cajon PD has been extraordinary, to say the least, repairing everything from torn seats, loose spotlights, AC, brakes, etc. They deserve, that's El Cajon PD, deserve the best repaired cars possible and have them back in service quickly, because I know El Cajon police officers are in their cars 10 to 12 hours at a shift, and there are not many extra cars at times. I hope the city plans to provide a person to give the same care, pride, dedication, and professionalism that I did to repairing the police cars. What made me a perfect fit for the city was that I was a classic car restorer, which is a personal trait needed for this job. The El Cajon PD fleet was my top priority above my family at times, and I have not taken many vacations because I personally wanted every police car to be repaired correctly. My heart and soul is in every car that has passed through my bay at the city garage. Every police officer in this city deserves the cleanest, safest car when he or she rolls out of the police station. And again, thank you for the privilege of working here at the city of El Cajon. There is no words that can express my gratitude enough. Thank you for your time. God bless.
So, hold on, citizen. So when did you retire?
I retired December 26th.
I noticed the cars have been kind of hinky since you. So
but it's been a privilege.
Thank you so much for how long did you work for the city again?
Worked for Escondido for 7 years, and I transferred to El Cajon in 1997 for 22 years here.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much for everything you've done, and we appreciate it.
Our next speaker is Arkan Somo.
Mr. Somo.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Arkan Somo. I'm the president of the Neighborhood Market Association. As you see, you had an item related to the ordinance that you passed relating to tobacco, and we were supposed to come and make a whole presentation. But I don't know if you heard, but the county of San Diego is debating their own vaping and flavor ban, and supposed to start at 9, and they pushed us to 1, and there is about 100 speakers. So I did my thing, and then I have to come. And the only thing I'm asking you, if you can consider, can you please postpone this item to a future so you'll have an opportunity for everybody to come in. Part of it is an appreciation, and maybe part of it a little bit more discussion. I would really appreciate it. Just keep in mind, please make it the 4th Tuesday. The last time I came, the 2nd Tuesday, I also have a board meeting every month. So if you postpone it, please consider the 4th. And on that note, I really appreciate it. And Mr. Mayor, that was a great honor. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me making the pledge.
Couple questions. Do you have other people with you that were speaking?
No, everybody's stuck. Everybody's there. Everybody's at the county.
So if we get to that and we talk about that, there would be other people affected by this as well?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to have to deal with it when we get there, but thank you for telling us.
I would really appreciate it. If you could postpone that, it will be great and would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a
Arthur.
great
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our last speaker for public comment is Mr. Jim Sirigliano.
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council, staff. Graham, I saw you on TV just before I came over here, so on Channel 10. I guess they're spotlighting the city of El Cajon. And just to let you know. I'm going to start off with something I'm going to be speaking again throughout the year. And everyone here in the chamber, everyone else here out in the cyber world, and tomorrow night on TV. And that's about Forms 700 and 460 again. And for the council to consider putting these on the city's webpage once more. For those of you who don't know, Form 700 is something that all people that are running for office, just like here in the city of El Cajon, they are required to file these two forms. The one is about assets, and the other one is about contributions that are made, okay? And I feel all of this information should be put on the city's webpage. Now, if anyone has any questions, I've gone through this a couple of times before, and usually there's 2 filings this year. And usually the second one, you can check with the city clerk about this. That's the last day for declaration for anyone running for office, and especially here with the city of El Cajon. And there will be 3 different seats coming up here. And I would think that once it's on there for the 2 council seats, Mayor, it's just a matter of somebody requesting it, and they could send it out very easily or have them come pick it up. But again, it should still be on that web page, because when I go through the agenda, just like anything else, I can click on something and see a full description of anything that's on the agenda online before I come to the city council meeting. And, well, quick time here. And then I just want to speak about something, where I view politics as I think that most of us, we're actually human animals, okay? And you have to earn to be a human being. And I think that works in politics also. I think we get too wrapped up in, too many other things, and we lose track of this here. We're more on the human animal side, all of us, including myself. But we have to earn that human being part of us, okay? And I would appreciate any comment about those forms also. I never really get too much, except maybe from Councilman Goebel a little bit, and that was even online, and I thank him for that, okay? But I still think it's very important, And as far as money goes for the city and things, either way, it's going to cost money. And I think that once, if the clerks can handle this here, one time, it's on there for everybody to look at and to request.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
and I thank you
Appreciate
for your time, and Happy New Year to everyone. Okay, thank you.
No more cards, sir.
Bob.
I see we have some students here, and I will assume that you're all from Valhalla. You're all seniors. So without exception, we want you to come down to the microphone, give us your name and what you intend to do after you're through with your senior year. If there's any student not from Valhalla that comes down, you can just tell us what school you're from, but I'll assume that you're all from Valhalla and you're all seniors. So without exception, everybody has to do it. It's a requirement. Your professor will be watching you on television on Channel 24 tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Your name
Hello,
and
my
what
name
you
is
intend
Victor,
to
and I would like to do business after high school. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Hello, my name's John. I'm probably going to do community college after high school.
Okay,
Hi, my name is Benin, and I plan on studying business administration.
good,
Hi, my name is Salman. I'm planning on studying business too.
good,
Hi, my name is Sandro Gomez, and I intend to get in a trade school after high school.
good.
Hi, my name is Jasmine, and I just joined the National Guard to become a combat engineer.
Congratulations.
Hi, my name is Jordan. I want to be a mechanic.
Good. Maybe you can do the city's police cars.
Hello, my name is Khaledi, and I attend Valhalla, and I plan on being a physical trainer.
Okay.
My name is Sean, and I plan to join the sheriff's department. So
Wonderful.
Hi, my name is Esmeralda, and I plan to study forensic science.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is John, and I want to work for NASA.
Good.
Hi, my name is Nick, and I want to be a cop when I grow up.
Wonderful.
Hi, my name's Kendall, and I want to go to school to do skincare.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Gabe, and I want to be a computer scientist when I grow up.
Good.
Hi, my name is Shanaz, and I'd like to study biology.
Hi, my name is Sophia, and I plan to go into nursing.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Eric, and I'm going to go to community college.
Good.
My name is Rachel, and I want to be an equine veterinarian.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Kurt, and I want to be a civil engineer.
Okay.
My name is Grace, and I want to be a pharmacist.
Okay.
My name is Guadalupe, and I also joined the National Guard, going to be a military police.
Thank you.
My name is Yusuf, and I want to be a dentist.
Okay.
My name is Jay, and I want to be an artist.
Thank you. Now, congratulations. Now, if you'll point to the people that didn't come up, that were supposed to come up, we'd like to have them come up at this time. Is there anybody that didn't come up? So you all did. Well, thank you. And you're very brave. That's your first public speaking in front of a big crowd like this, I hope. And congratulations. At your age, I would have been scared to death to do that. So it's a pat on your back. So thank you very much. Have a great day. God bless you.
All right, thanks, Bob. All right, there are no written communications on today's agenda, and we are now at public hearing. Item 11 is a substandard abatement case, and I will ask staff to introduce this item.
Hello,
Sir, how are you?
City Council, I'm doing well. You've seen my report. This property started to become a problem when a fire occurred. We were called out the next day, which was October 24th, and what had happened is the people who lived at this house were not paying their electrical bill, and they were not paying their water bill, so they had brought in a generator and had the generator in the side yard of the house, and were feeding electricity into the outlets on the inside of the house, and they were bringing in 5-gallon water bottles for drinking and to operate toilets and such. And so this obviously was a problem, especially after the fire. At that time, we talked to the tenants and tried to get them to voluntarily agree to leave. In the end, they said they would, but they did not do it. We were called again by the police department, and that's when we posted notice to vacate. This was a summary abatement, which means that we consider the problem to be so severe that we can't wait to bring it to you and have civil penalties imposed, because we're afraid that either through disease from the lack of sanitary facilities or another fire occurring at the property, we didn't feel we could wait. So that's kind of when we do a summary abatement, that's what that's all about, is taking action before we bring it to you as opposed to after. And in this case, is what we did. We posted a notice to vacate, and we enforced the notice to vacate, and the property was vacated. The members of the trust, there's several members of the trust. One of those members was one of the tenants. Well, one of the other members of the trust I ended up talking with at a later date, and they actually thanked us because they were trying to get the property sort of back online. So that's kind of the way this all transpired and leads us to where we are today.
All right, thank you very much. Council, do you have any questions or comments right now? All right, the public hearing is now open. Angela, do we have any speaker cards for this?
We have no cards, sir.
All right, then I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Any further discussion, or would somebody like to make a motion?
Recommend that the city bill the property owner for the staff time and administrative costs in the amount of $1,248.79. Keep an eye on the property and monitor it and clean up and renovation of the building until fully compliant. That's my motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right. Item 12 is an administrative hearing on today's agenda, an appeal by Cajon Massage. I'll ask our city attorney to provide us a report on this item, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This administrative hearing is one of those that we on occasion have. There's a procedure outlined in our municipal code for an appeal of a denial of a special operations license, which is found in Title 5, Chapter 5.20, I think, somewhere around there. The establishment of massage treatment facility was previously operating in this location without a special operations license because the state had preempted the field at the time that it was established and did not allow the city to regulate the location of massage therapy establishments. And so it had been there for a few years. The law has since changed, and now it does again allow the city to use its ordinance, its municipal code, to regulate the location and the activities that take place in that establishment. When the property or the business owner came to the city to obtain a special operations license, it was run through the usual course of review. The police department has provided a response, as it usually does, in reviewing the application, and following their review, they recommended denial because at one point in time in the not too distant past, one of the technicians or therapists was found to have committed violations of by soliciting prostitution or some other type of sexual crime. One of the things that most cities' ordinances try to prevent. So the denial was on the basis of the establishment would violate the public peace and morals of the community, and the police department gave that decision that was affirmed by the city manager, and now the operator has appealed that decision to you as a city council. The procedure is such that the city will first I will swear in the witnesses, those that have been listed to testify on both sides. We also have a translator present because of an issue with communication in the English language is not as easy for some of the parties. And they are represented by counsel. They will put on their case, then the city will put on its case, and then there will be a chance of rebuttal and then arguments. So at this point, if the council is ready, I can ask the witnesses and the translator to come forward, at least the witnesses first, and we can swear them in, and then I'll swear in the translator as well.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm Attorney George Gadulin. I'm representing Cajon Massage, as well as the owner of the massage and the manager, and I'll allow them to be sworn in as they are the two witnesses.
And so if you could raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say, I do.
Yes, I do. Yes.
And now, Madam Translator, may you raise your right hand, and the rest of you can put your hands down. Do you swear that or affirm that the translation you will give today is truthful and completely accurate? Thank you very much. You may proceed now, Mr. Gordon.
Okay. I'll ask, I guess, I'm not sure. Do you want the witnesses, will they be able to just stand next to me, I guess, when they're speaking? Is that acceptable, or?
They can stand next to you, and that's fine. And we should have some audible responses, obviously, and to the microphone. This is being recorded. Translators should be accessible to relay the answers as well.
Okay. Well, I'll try to share the space. Let me ask you to have a seat. I'll just state briefly, I think if the council has received our original, let me speak into this, if the council has received our original paperwork regarding the appeal, I think our position with regards to the investigation that was done by the El Cajon Police Department and ultimately at least one arrest of one of the massage therapists, the position of Cajon Massage, my client, is that the activities of this one individual or any other massage therapist who were engaged in unlawful sexual acts at the facility, they were doing it essentially for their own benefits. They were not doing it to the benefit of the massage owners or the manager, and they were doing it without their knowledge. This is a business that's been run roughly for 4 years. Mr. Wei's son, or Tony's son as he's known, the business owner, he applied in this year for the permit because he was apparently employing a special operations license, because he initially the business was employing only one massage therapist. As it grew, more massage therapists were present, requiring a special operations license. So he got a letter notifying him he needed to do that, hence the application he made in August of 2019. So I'm going to ask Mr. Sun to come up, and I'm going to ask him a few questions. I think the concern, obviously, of the city comes down to unlawful sexual acts being done at a business in El Cajon, not something permissible. And I certainly want Mr. Sun, as well as his manager, who was at the business, Cajon, she's the other witness, to describe their roles in the business, what the involvement was with the massage therapists, what they were aware of, and certainly what they were not. I think it'll give the city insight that Mr. Sun is a good business owner. He wants to continue his business. He has no interest and gets no gain from illegal activity. He just simply wants to reopen a business that's been running for 4 years.
Mr. Gadulin, there is a wireless mic there that he can hold and the translator can hold and use.
Okay, seems to work. Okay, so you guys can use this one. Okay. Mr. Sun, are you the owner of Cajon Massage?
Yes.
Does anybody else own this business with you?
Yes.
Who else is an owner other than yourself?
现在没有，之前有一个李小玻璃。
Currently, I don't have a co-owner, but before I had.
Okay, and what is Blue Sky Spa?
Blue Sky Spa 是什么东西？
是我之前经营的一家店。
That was a store I ran before.
Okay, does Blue Sky Spa have any connection to Cajon Massage?
跟 Cajon Massage 有没有关系呢？
没有。
No.
Is that a corporation that operates Cajon Massage?
然后呢，那个就是操纵你们这个 Cajon Massage 的。
不是。
No, no.
Okay, how does Cajon Massage file taxes? Under what name?
然后呢，是怎么样报税的？是在什么名字上报税的
？Cajon Massage 在哪报税的
？You mean where do we file tax?
No, let me move on. I'll ask more relevant questions. How many, prior to your business being shut down, how many massage therapists at any given time were performing massages at your massage parlor?
在这个以前，你拥有多少个那个按摩的店
？Blue Sky Spa 一个，之前一个。
Blue Sky Spa and plus Cajon Massage.
之前是这样。
Before it was like this.
对。
How many massage therapists at the end of 2019 were working at Cajon Massage?
有在 Cajon Massage 有几个人做按摩
？19
年底。
4个。
4.
Okay. Was at any point a woman named Yonfang Shen working at Cajon Massage?
的人在这 Cajon Massage 工作过吗？
对。
Yes, right.
And how was she paid by Cajon Massage?
之前 Cajon Massage 怎么给她付工资？
因为是1099嘛，所以大家是不是费用是大家是一家一半
？Because it was 1099, so it's 50-50.
Okay, so I'm going to show you Exhibit C that we submitted. Do you recognize this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, is that a 1099 for tax year 2018?
Yes, that's correct.
And is the recipient Yanfang Shen?
Yes, right.
Okay. And you described that you had a 50-50 arrangement with the massage therapist, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Does that mean they received 50% of what the spa took in for their massage treatments?
Yes.
So even split between the massage owner and the therapist.
Yes,
correct. What about tips?
Tips all belong to whoever did the job.
Okay. At some point in last year, did Ms. Shen, to your knowledge, get arrested for any criminal offense?
Last year?
Yes, in 2019.
对，就是去年10月份这个10月份发生这个问题。
Yes, this happened in October last year. Before it didn't happen.
Okay. And do you know what she was arrested for?
你知道她是因为什么被捕吗？
当时我是在国内嘛，所以具体的事情我不清楚。但是那个 manager 嘛，周贺嘛，他跟我说，打电话跟我说这些事情。对，那是因为付钱的问题，所以我在国内。
At that time, I was physically in China. I didn't know what was going on in the store, and my manager was there. Her Joe, she was there, and then she called me and notified me of what happened.
So you learned of the charges she was arrested for?
你知道了她是因为什么被逮捕？
Yeah, 现在知道。
Yes, now I know.
What did you do with regards to Ms. Shen's status and association with your massage after you learned that?
在你知道这以后，关于这个沈小姐的这些就是情况和雇佣情况，你做了什么？
那当时就第一时间就肯定给她开除了。
After I learned it, I fired her.
Had any of your other massage therapists ever been arrested for similar charges?
以前有没有任何的按摩院被逮捕会指控同样的呢？
从来没有过。
No, never happened before.
Had you ever heard from anyone at your massage, including customers, that any of the massage therapists were performing any sexual acts at your business?
所以你有没有听到过任何的按摩院，甚至包括就是那个顾客在你的那个地方发生过性的行为，做过性方面的东西？
没见过。
No, never saw, never heard.
I'm going to ask you to take a look at this Exhibit B. It's a sign. It's a picture of a thing that says notice. Do you recognize this sign?
你知道吗？
对，这个我知道啊。
Yes, I know.
What is this sign?
这个是什么呢？
就是贴在前面和那个后面的休息室，主要是就是强调那个员工在这里面不是按摩师啊，在这里面做按摩的时候应该注意的事项，不能做一些违法的事情。对。
This is a notice to customers and our employees. We put this notice in the front and in the break room and also in every room to notify all the people nothing illegal should be conducted at this facility.
And this sign specifically says solicitation of sex and prostitution is strictly prohibited. Is that right?
特别写到的就是性方面的东西是绝对禁止的。
对对对对。
Yes, correct.
Was this sign posted prior to October 31st, 2019?
这个在2019年10月31号以前有这个通知在那儿吗？
有，这个一直有。
Yes, we had this for a long time.
At your massage business, did you have signs clearly posted indicating the prices for various services that would be performed?
你有没有很具体详细的价格表，就是是做什么事要收多少钱的呢？
有，在墙上都贴了，都有。
Yes, on the wall we have all that.
Okay, I'm going to show you 3 pictures from Exhibit D, if you could take a look.
是第一号展示间。
对对。
Did these signs accurately depict the posted menus that were on display at your business?
对对对，是的。
Yes, correct.
And these signs were visible to any customers who came in?
所以来做的客户都能够清楚地看到这个，对吗？
对对对。
Yes, correct.
At some point, did you receive notice from the city that your special operations license was being denied?
你被拒绝，就是在申请被拒绝了。
有。
Yes.
And did you also receive notice that you were to immediately shut down your business?
应该立即关闭你的这个按摩店。
对，关闭了。
Yes, shut down.
Did you shut down your business as directed by the city?
你是不是按照城市的要求来这个就是关张的？
对对对。
Yes.
Prior to the business being shut down, did you ask any of your customers to sign a petition on your behalf?
那个客户给你就是签名申请呢？
有。
Yes, I did.
但是时间太短，所以没有得到很多客户的支持，只有。
But it was a short period of time, so we didn't get too many customer signatures.
Okay, Exhibit A, is this the petition that you were referring to?
是不是就是你说的这个签名呢？
对，就这个。
Yes, that's it.
And where was this petition placed?
然后这个东西是放在哪儿的？这张纸
是客人进来以后会在前台收款这个地方，就放在前面，每个人都会看到。
It was put at the cashier's desk when customers came in. They could all see that.
And these were signatures of customers of your massage?
这些都是你的按摩客户签的名字。
对对对对。
Yes.
At some point last year, did you sign a new lease agreement with the owner of where your business is currently located?
你去年有没有签了一个那个租赁合同和你现在就是在的这个地方一样的地方的？
对，有。
Yes, I did.
Or who specifically signed that lease agreement?
那是谁具体签的这个租赁协议？
是我的 manager 周贺。
It was my manager, her Joe.
Okay, and the lease term, how long is that lease for?
这个租赁合同有多长时间签的
？5年。
5 years.
Exhibit E, does that look like the lease that you're referring to?
是不是就是你说的那个合同？
对对对，是。
Yes.
So is it accurate to say that you're obligated to pay this lease agreement until until February 28th, 2025?
这个是不是一直到那个2015年，就是5月28号以前，你都应该付这个的租金？ Yes.
And what is the monthly lease rate? How much are you paying per month?
所以一个月你大约付多少钱？价格是多少
？3300多，现在涨了，可能今年涨到3400多，不到3500。具体的价格因为现在还没有出来。
It was 3,300, and now the price goes up, so probably it was 3,400 or could be 3,500.
Will you be obligated to pay this lease even if your business isn't operating?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to ask if the city permits your business to open again, have you thought about steps you could take to prevent the type of activity that led to the arrest from occurring in the future?
将来这种事情再发生，能采取哪些措施？
有，自从这个事情发生以后呢，我就一直在考虑这个事情。
Yes, after this happened, I had been thinking about this, and now I already figured out certain things to prevent this from happening again.
And before we get to that, let me ask, the massage therapist that you had, would they work there the entire year round consistently?
你雇佣的那些按摩师，他们是全年都在那儿不同就是系统的工作吗？随时工作吗？
不是。
No, was not like that.
他们是流动的这种。
They come and go.
Would it be common for them not to be present for months at a time?
所以就是他们要几个月都不出现在你这儿工作，也是经常的事儿吗？
对，是。
Yes, correct.
Did you have a written agreement with these massage therapists?
你跟这些做按摩的人有书面协议吗？
没有。
No.
So it was just a verbal trust agreement?
所以就是口头的书面相信的协议。
对。
Yes, correct.
And did you direct or control the manner in which they did their massages?
你是不是能够决定或者控制他们怎么做按摩呢？
对，我有一些方案，总结了一些方案，就是如果是 CT 可以让我重新来做的话，我总结了出几条方案来，就是能严格的管理这方面的事情，杜绝以后这种事情发生。
Before was not exactly, but since now on, I will try to take special measures and then prevent all these things from happening.
Specifically, do you have a list or some ideas of what you can do to prevent illicit sexual activity from going on in your business?
事项来防止这些事情再发生。
对，我总结一些几条很简单。
If the council allow
Yes,
it.
I summed up the list here.
If you could share with the council your proposals for what you could do to prevent
讲一
this.
下你下面能做什么来帮助他们。
OK， 好，针对这次事情的发生啊，就是我首先要道歉一下，这个事情确实因为我经营不善，管理的不到位，所以导致了这些事情的发生，请那个 CT 的人就是理解一下。然后呢
First, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all the city council members for catching this, and I would like to apologize because of my own negligence, and I didn't really do the business the way you expected to, and this thing happened, and I promise you this will never happen again.
对，那我就想简单的阐述一下。那么，从18年开始的时候，我可能就是因为其他的生意方面，在19年父亲的病故的原因，所以这2年期间我对生意没有很好的照顾，所以也导致了生意今天发生了这种事情。所以我还是要跟 CT 说一下 sorry。
So I would also like to apologize for the failure of my part. And since 2018, my father was sick, and my father passed away last year. So this happened under my supervision, and it was my fault. I would sincerely hope you accept my apology.
如果是呢 CT 能让我重新来开业的话，那么首先我准备了5条，能就是避免这件事情发生的。
So if the city allows me to do business again, and then I have 5 different ways to prevent it from happening.
对，第一个呢，就是从选择员工方面，我就是以后会认真的选择每一位按摩师，通过调查他们的背景调查，还有看一下他们有没有合法的身份和绿卡。这是从选按摩师的第一个条来说，一定要严格。
So first, I would be very careful before I hire a person, and I would say whether they are allowed to work, whether they are here illegally, and then also check their background and see their previous working experience and history.
然后呢，第2条呢，就是选定了每一位员工以后，我会跟他们认真的签一个，让律师起草一个合同，认真的跟他们签一个就是合作合同，让他们知道这个按摩店是应该怎样正规合法的去经营，不应该做一些性行为方面违规的事情。
So after I screen these possible employees, and then I would be with the help of attorney and get a contract, and then make sure they know what they are supposed to do and what was not appropriate, and then tell them what is right and wrong.
然后呢，下面一条呢，就是每一个员工，每个按摩师，我们会收取就是保证金2000块钱， 就是说如果有发生类似的事情，让我们发现了，如果他们的行为有点不合法的话，这个押金我们会扣除，然后把它开除掉。
And the third is we would ask a 2,000 deposit if inappropriate things happened and we find out, and then we will take this money away and give them a warning and no longer hire them again.
然后呢，这就是
And
说
let me ask, do you mean you'll take a $2,000 bond from the people that you hire?
那你是说你要收他们2000块钱的这个押金吗？
对，押金对。
Yes, correct.
保证他们在这里不会做一些违法的事情。
To guarantee they don't do anything illegal there.
And that would be part of the written contract?
然后这个也在书面协议里写进去吗？
也会在第一条的 contract 里面写进去。
Yes, that's the first thing we will put in the contract.
Okay, please continue whatever the proposals.
然后呢，在这个每天的工作当中呢，包括我或者是我的 manager， 我们会20分钟左右会定期的就是检查一下，看看有没有些按摩师在做一些不好的行为，一些违法的行为在里面。
So at the facility, every 20 minutes, myself and the manager, we would walk around to check whether inappropriate behavior happens.
然后呢，最后一条呢，就说是，如果是 CT 允许的话，我可能会把这个门原先的木门卸掉，改成一些就是那个布帘。但是如果是在 CT 这个建筑方面允许的情况下。
So the last thing, if the city allows us, I plan to remove all the wood doors and I would put the privacy curtains so it's easier for us to supervise.
对，这是以上就是通过发生这件事情以后，我总结出来的7条，就是这个能合法友善的管理这个按摩师的这方面的经验。
This is my thoughts after what happened and my plan for the future if the city allows us to open the business again.
Would the curtains allow sound from the massage rooms to carry more easily to the front?
那就是按这个拉帘的话，是不是能让那个房间里的声音更容易的传到前面，能听得到？
对对，任何声音都能听到。
Yes, that's right. We can hear all the sounds.
Do you have a way to verify if a potential massage therapist is lawfully permitted to be in the United States?
你有没有办法可以就是知道这个做按摩的人是在美国有合法身份的呢？
这个就需要做一个到警察局，每个按摩师要求到那个警察局做一个背景调查，对，合格了以后我们才合作，不合格就不用。
We will do a background check and maybe ask the police department to help us to check whether they are legally in America and can do business.
Okay, thank you.
好，谢谢你。
With that, I don't think I have any further questions for Mr. Wei Sun. I'm usually in court, so I'm trying to be quick, but I don't want to use up a lot of time. I have another witness, but if the council has questions or...
Well, actually, let me check and see if Detective Sergeant Guerin has questions of this witness. Okay, you may go to your next witness.
Okay, I'll be brief. Ms. Heju, and as Mr. Sun testified, she is the manager. She was there for more day-to-day, but I'll try to have some more pertinent questions about her exact role there. Are you or were you and currently are the manager of Cajon Massage?
I have been a manager for half a year.
Okay. How many hours per week would you spend in the massage in this half a year?
半年来，你就是在那一天待多少个小时工作呢？
就是他是有时间的嘛，他没有时间，我就是偶尔过去。完了后来他父亲不老了嘛，这段时间10月15号一直在那来。
When his father was not sick, I just occasionally, when he needed me, I went there. And after his father was sick, and then I went there often.
Okay. How were you sometimes in charge of taking payments from customers at the massage?
收客户的付的钱呢，有时候。
就是看看门完事那个叫技师那个做完收钱。
Yes, I'm in charge of picking up the phones and also get the payment.
How did customers make payments at the massage?
然后这些客户在那是怎么付钱呢？
就是进门付40块钱1小时。
Usually when they come in and they pay $40.
They would pay before they got services?
是在他们按摩前就付钱吗？是在做按摩前就付吗？
是个吧台收客人钱呢，我收钱。
但是做以前还是做以后？
以后我就不知道了，我进门客人
when as soon as they came in and then I just received the payment.
Okay. Did any of the massage therapists, were they allowed to or were they expected to receive payment, or was it only the person in front, the manager, to take payment?
所以那些做按摩的人被允许也收钱吗？还是只是你前台弄你收钱？
我前台收客人的钱，他们收别的钱我就不知道了。
I directly got payment from the customers. I don't know whether they pay for the therapists.
Did any of the massage therapists ever tell you directly about any sexual acts or any solicitation for sex acts from any of the customers?
这些做按摩的人有没有直接告诉过你他们要做这个黄色的或者做什么事情 ？No.
Were you ever told by any of the customers about sexual solicitation they'd engaged in, or any massage therapist offering sexual services?
有没有客户跟你讲过，就是他们就是有过这些行为发生？有没有那些按摩师要求他们进行就是性方面的东西？有没有人？
没有。
No.
You heard Mr. Sun say that he suggested that he himself or you walk around and do a check on the massage therapist every 20 minutes going forward. Do you think that's something you'd be able to do?
Yes.
And would you be able to do it without running afoul of any privacy or privacy concerns for your customers?
那你这样做的话，会不会就是不会影响客户的隐私呢？ I don't think so.
So you don't think it would be a problem with the
你觉
customers?
得不会就是影响客户是吗？ That will depend. I'm not really sure.
Okay. Do you think the idea of removing doors and putting privacy curtains will work for your massage?
换了木门，装上拉帘，会帮助你的这个按摩店吗？ Yes, it will help.
The doors that are there now, do they prevent sound from coming out of the rooms? Is it quiet when the doors are closed?
所以现在的门是不是防音的？如果关上门，是不是别人听不到声音？ Yes.
Okay. And are you? How do you get paid by the massage? Are you independent contractor or do you get a salary?
你是怎么样得到这个报酬的？你是有工资吗？还是跟他们签协议付你钱？你是怎么领钱？
因为就是这个朋友，都是好朋友嘛，他也不是干啥的。
So I'm not salaried. I'm just a friend of his. So basically, I just helped him when he was busy or his father was sick.
Okay. And in the investigations report, the police
报告里头，警察说，
discuss a website
然后看到有一个网页，
where customers describe sexual acts that they had received at Cajon Massage.
我看到那个你们Cajon Massage有网页上有性方面的这样的东西。
Were you aware of this website?
你知道这个网页吗？
不知道。
I don't.
Okay, so you've never seen a website where customers were describing sex acts they received at Cajon Massage?
你没有看到就是Cajon Massage上网页上有人弄这个性的东西。I don't know.
No. Okay. That's all. Nothing further. Thank you.
Again, Detective Sergeant Guerin, do you have any questions for this witness? Okay. At this time, if the City Council may ask some questions of these witnesses, if you'd like.
Counsel, Steve.
How long has Mr. Sun owned the business? How long has Mr. Sun owned the business?
Excuse me?
How long has Mr. Sun owned the business?
你有开业多
At
长
that
时间？
location.
你有这个就是Cajon Massage有多久
从15年开始吧，15年下半年。对。
？Starting from 2015.
2015. Okay. Does the manager say when the massage technicians must come to work?
哦，那个就是经理，是不是有权决定他们必须要来上班呢？
没有。
No, not like that. No.
So they can come anytime they want?
这些按摩的人想什么时候来就什么时候来。
对，他们给我提前会打电话说哪天怎么样，或什么时候过来这样的，没有说。
Usually they would call ahead of time and tell us when they are available to work, so we make arrangements.
Okay. Does anybody say how long they have to stay during the day?
人能规定一天要工作多久？
这个都没有，大家就是什么时候有时间，他们就有客人他们就来做，没时间待着他们就走了，这个我们管不了。对。
No. Just depends on how long they can work and then how long they want to stay. And if they want to go, usually we just let them go.
Okay. Exhibit C was Form 1099.
然后就是1099。
I can't pronounce the name.
他读不出这个名字叫什么？
Wang Fang Shen? Is that close? Do you understand who I'm talking about?
Yeah, Yang Fangshen, yes.
Okay. You sent her 1099 to the same address as the business. Why did you do that?
这个1099是同样跟你的这个店是一个地址，为什么会是这样呢？
不明白，跟我的店是一个地址，怎么个什么？
他说你把这个寄到的那个是和他一个地址，寄到他的这个报酬。
因为很多这个员工嘛，他们自己没有固定住的地方，就是按摩师嘛，这个我们很清楚，所以他们有时候在这边大家关系比较好，他们就说那1099我们寄到你这里来了以后再寄给我们，就大家是这样的。
So many of these massage therapists, they don't have a fixed place to live, so that's why we use this address. And then if they have a certain address, and then we can mail to that address, but usually we just mail them by using this one.
Okay, thank you. One more question. Regarding the lease.
然后那个租赁合同。
Mr. Sun, you said you're the sole owner.
陈先生，你说你是唯一的拥有人。
But your name does not appear on the lease.
这那上头没有你的名字。
Did he understand the question?
听懂这个问题了吧？
我明白。
Yes, I understand the question.
这个是明年的，就是之前的老例子，之前的例子是由我，这个是提供的是，19年5月23号的新例子，这个例子呢是当时是那个，因为我是现在就是经营的那个2018年开的那个装修公司，在去年我父亲去世了以后，所以我对这个店呢我没有亲自去经营，所以这个 manager 在这做一段时间，他比较喜欢这个店。 所以我跟他谈成协议，就是这个店下一年的意思，我把店要准备转给他的，所以他就跟房东签了一个新的例子，所以从这以后这个店这个 lease 上呢就是 manager 的名字。
So the lease we submitted was the old one, and now we have a new lease, a new contract. And since the manager came to our store, and she's kind of like this place, and then so now she signs this lease, and this lease will be into effect on the 23rd of May 2000. 这还是19年的。2019, is that right?
Well.
对，2019年5月23号。对，在这儿嘛。 签合同的日期是之前他们去签的，但真正合同有效期嘛是这个时候就是历史是他们的。
Sorry, the day May 23rd, 2019 was the date we signed this contract, and then actually this contract will go to effect on March 1st, 2020.
Is Hiju or Yangsheng Pang officers of Blue Sky Spa?
两个人都是共同的嘛，
对，她和她老公正在学马萨 license 嘛，就是如果是这个时候能接手的话，他们就一起过来经营这个店。
So if this contract goes into effect, and both her and her husband will take care of this massage business.
So I need to understand, it doesn't appear you have liability for this lease. Am I reading that correctly?
这个协议上好像没有你的名字，没有你的责任。
对，这个协议上没有我的责任。对。
Right, I'm not on this contract.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Council, more questions?
I have one question. I have one question for Mr. Sun. Your other employees that are massage therapists, are they all 1099 as well, or how are they classified as employees?
所以你的其他的那个做按摩的人也都是那个1099吗？然后他们是怎么样的？都是这样吗？
对，大家都一样的。
Yes, everybody else was 1099.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
One more question. Did the employees, or the 1099 people, the massage therapists, did they provide their own materials like the massage oils, or does the business provide those?
所以这些做按摩的人是自己拿东西吗？像那个按摩油啊和其他东西是自己带吗？
对，全部都自己带过来的。他们有的是经常会买一些，就放在这里，写上他们的名字。他们有时过来说他们自己去用，就这样。
Yes, they provided their own staff, and sometimes they purchased something ahead of time, so they put at the store, and when they came to work, and then they would use their own.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? I have a couple of questions. And staff, I have a question. At some point, do we get to speak to the police officer?
I'm sorry, what was that?
At some point, do we get to ask questions of the police officer?
Yeah, well, he'll put on his case after you finish
Great.
here.
You also own Blue Sky Spa?
那个叫 Blue Sky Spa。
应该是在去年19年的19年，我忘了7月份是8月份之前，我拥有 Blue Sky， 对，但是现在也是 transfer 转给别人了。因为只是我现在做其他的行业，没有时间去管理。
I can't remember exactly. It was in July or in August 2019, and then I transferred that to another person because I was just too busy with business and with my family matters.
Is Blue Sky Spa still open?
那现在 Blue Sky 这个还在营业吗？
不在，已经关门了，好像还是换名字，我不清楚。
No, it either closed or changed its name. I'm not really sure.
Okay. And did they ever have any problems with anybody being arrested or any legal problems while you were the manager there?
那就是开业的时候有没有人有问题或者被逮捕过？
我在那时没有过。
Not when I was there. No.
这个不清楚，没有。
I don't think so.
The women that work for Cajon Valley or Cajon Massage, do any of them ever stay at the business as a place to live?
他们有没有就是住在那地方，就是作为就是维生呢？住在你那个地方
？No， 这个没有。
No, definitely not.
Okay, thank you very much. That's the end of my questions, Counselor.
Okay.
All right, thank you. At this point, Detective Sergeant Guerin will put on the city's case.
Hello, Detective.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members, city staff. I did have some slight changes to what I had prepared and given to you based on some further research I had done yesterday. So I'm going to read the memo that I had prepared for this hearing and then have some additions to it afterwards. In October 2019, I was assigned to investigate Cajon Massage, located at 1246 East Main Street, number 112, in the city of El Cajon, due to the fact that Wei's son has submitted an application for a special operations license for a massage establishment. Internal records checks revealed there weren't any adverse records for Mr. Sun. The Special Investigations Unit received a complaint in 2018 regarding illegal sexual conduct at the establishment. However, it is unknown if Mr. Sun was the owner of the business at that time. I checked a public website in which massage customers write reviews about exotic massages. Cajon Massage is listed on the website and has 30 reviews between October of 2016 and September of 2019. All the reviews are from massage customers who have written reviews about paying for and receiving sexual acts from masseuses at Cajon Massage. On October 30th, 2019, the Special Investigations Unit conducted a vice operation at Cajon Massage. At the time, an undercover officer was sent into the business where he paid for a 30-minute massage. Towards the end of the massage, the undercover officer was offered a sex act from the masseuse in exchange for money. A predetermined arrest signal was given, at which time detectives entered the business and placed the masseuse under arrest for solicitation and prostitution. When we entered the business, there were 5 female employees inside. Additionally, a male who was seen entering and exiting the business prior to our entry was contacted in the parking lot. It appeared the male was associated to the massage establishment. There were 4 certified massage therapist certifications for females posted on the wall in the lobby of the business. The masseuse that was arrested was one of the certified massage therapists. Additionally, a City of El Cajon business license was posted, which listed Wei Sun as the owner. And Mr. Wei Sun was not present during our investigation. At the conclusion of our investigation, the arrestee was released at the scene, and we exited the business. The El Cajon Police Department submitted the case to the San Diego County District Attorney's Office. Additionally, I filed a complaint on the business with the California Massage Therapy Council. And then based on our investigation, it appears that Cajon Massage is not a legitimate massage establishment, and illegal sexual acts are being performed on customers. Therefore, it is my opinion that the City of El Cajon deny the Special Operations License application. So a couple of quick updates. Reference the person that was arrested. I can't go into details because it's a personal matter for that person. However, they had an arraignment on the 8th for that charge. That's been vacated until later on in February. And reference the website that I spoke of. I actually missed a page of reviews. So there were a total of 43 comments posted on there between June of 2015 and November of 2019. And they're all explicit in nature.
Okay.
Okay, if that concludes your testimony, Mr. Gadulin, you can cross-examine Detective Sergeant Garin.
Sergeant, thank you. I'll have a few brief questions.
Perhaps you could use the wireless mic yourself.
I'm loud, but I'm not that loud. Okay. Sergeant, did you, per the arrest of the woman that you described on October 31st, did you interview or speak to Mr. Wei Sun, the owner?
No.
And what about He Zhu, who's also seated here? Did you speak with her?
Yes.
Did she, what did you ask her? Did you ask her any questions with regards to knowledge of unlawful sexual activity at the massage?
Yes.
What was her response?
That she wasn't aware of what was happening.
Okay. And did you interview anybody else along the same line of questioning?
No, the person that was arrested spoke very limited English, so we weren't able to properly Mirandize her.
Okay. Did that person who was arrested give you any statements indicating that Ms. He Zhu or Mr. Wei Sun were aware of the conduct she was engaged in?
No.
Okay. Did anyone at the massage that you interviewed, other than the person arrested, give you an indication that they were aware of this sexual activity occurring at the massage?
No.
In the website that you referenced, which actually, it wasn't in your report. I don't know if you left that out for purpose. I think I found the one you were talking about, but it doesn't matter, I guess. In the website, the reviews, did they give specific details about the type of sex acts performed?
Yes.
Do they describe the individual massage therapist performing the acts?
Yes.
Do any of the reviews indicate knowledge or complicity by massage ownership?
I didn't read all the reviews, but not the ones I did read, no.
Okay, so the ones you read described simply the massage therapist performing the act, is that right?
Correct.
And the acts that she's willing to perform?
Yes.
And prices for those acts separate from the massage?
Yes.
Okay, so from the reviews you read, nothing indicated that anyone other than the massage therapist was aware of this activity taking place?
Correct.
Okay. I think that's it.
Thank you, Counselor.
At this point, if City Council members have questions for Detective Sergeant Guerin, this is your opportunity to do so.
Detective Guerin, of the 43 reviews, did any of those name the person who was arrested?
From what I recall, the names that were listed were English names that weren't similar to the person that we arrested.
Do you have any knowledge of the arrestee's English name?
I do not.
Okay. Is the massage technician required to be in possession of a work permit?
I would assume so, however, I'm not sure.
Okay. Was the person asked for a work permit?
No. I read that they had let me reference what the actual certificate is. It's a certified massage therapist certification. That's from the California Massage Therapy Council.
Let me pause here. For the city attorney, does the certification from the state count as a work permit under the municipal code?
I don't believe it does. We have a unique kind of a home rule requirement for that. But the certified, under the state law, though, that is likely preempted because they do possess a certified massage therapist certificate, and we can't get into requiring permits other than the ones we do impose now, the special operations license and conditional use permits.
Okay.
And sir, that certificate is from a private company. It's not from the state itself.
The certification is from a private company?
Correct. The California Massage Therapy Certification Board is, to my knowledge, is a private board. It's
not a state agency,
not associated with
to
the
your
state.
knowledge.
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
There were questions, Steve? Phil?
Just one question. How many investigations has the El Cajon Police Department done on Cajon Massage since they opened in 2016?
This is the second one that I've been involved in.
Okay. And was there any illegal activity on the first one?
The first one, it was either at the end of 2016 or the beginning of 2017, and yes, an arrest was made at that time.
Okay. Thank you.
So I just want to clarify that the two times that you did a operation both ended up in finding illegal activity.
Yes, sir.
Okay. More questions, Bob or Gary? Was there any evidence that there are people living at the massage business?
No, excuse me. There was one room where it appeared that people were sleeping. However, it didn't appear it was for long-term cohabitation, possibly breaks, that type of a thing. But there weren't large amounts of clothes or anything like that to indicate people staying there, living there.
Okay. Bob?
Were the doors pretty soundproof where they had their different stalls or whatever?
From what I recall, they were typical hollow core doors.
Yeah. Do you think the curtains would make any difference at all?
They would make a difference if they were trying to watch out for what was happening, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
To clarify, the second arrest, when was that done?
The most recent arrest was October 31st, I believe, of last year.
And then the one before that Mr. Ortiz asked about?
I believe that was either the end of 2016 or beginning of 2017. I wasn't aware that this was the same owner. That's why I didn't research it further, but I was involved in that.
Am I understanding correctly that this would be the second arrest under the same owner?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right. No more questions? Thank you, Detective. We appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. Now your opportunity for any rebuttal testimony, Mr. Gadulin.
Counsel and Mr. Mayor, I think that per the testimony given by my client, I think it's clear that he's sincere. He's a business owner. He simply wants to operate a business lawfully. He described the fact that he basically had various massage therapists that would come and go. They weren't there all the time. They had a verbal agreement to split the money. It obviously wasn't highly managed in any regard, either for preventing illegal activity or monetarily or otherwise. It was basically a trust agreement. They split what's collected up front, and then the tips go to the massage therapists. I think he's also sincere in telling the city that he wants to implement any oversight necessary to prevent this. I don't think that he was operating the business with the intent for this to go on. I think that he is open to doing whatever he needs to do to prevent it. He wasn't going into the business to do this, and so it wasn't running away to be surreptitious about it. If these massage therapists were doing this, it wasn't to his knowledge or his manager's knowledge. I think, as he's explained to me in the past, that first arrest, he was not involved in the business. I think there might have been a previous partner who's not there anymore. So certainly the activity, this arrest that took place, was a surprise to him. He's made clear that future employees will not include any of the people that worked there previously. They can certainly be rigorous about who they employ. I think many of us are aware that oftentimes the people who engage in this conduct and arrested for solicitation are often victims themselves of trafficking. They're here illegally or overstay visas. They're scared to be deported and they're trying to make money. Certainly not employing people who are not here or not permitted to be here lawfully on immigration status would be a very good step towards ensuring that it's not the kind of people that might be forced to do this kind of conduct. But I also think that if the city were to consider any sort of a probationary period or as well a financial bond by the business to be put up as some sort of surety and guarantee of compliance in the future, I think that Mr. Sun would certainly be open to it. I think generally it's a business that's respected by the community. There were many signatures submitted by people in the community who like the business, who go there lawfully. There are plenty of good reviews for the massage parlor as well on Yelp, which is not like the other review site, which I did not know existed before this case. So it's not a shop that was open simply to perform illegal sex acts. It was a massage parlor, a legitimate business, licenses obtained, taxes paid. When the city told him you need a special operations license, he sought that immediately. So he was not trying to skirt the law. He was trying to do what he was supposed to do. And unfortunately, by his own admission, some negligence and failure to oversight, there was illegal activity going on, which obviously cannot happen, not for himself and not for the city. It shouldn't be permitted. So I think with that and his sincere comments and willingness to accept any and all conditions necessary to open his massage parlor, as well as clearly the financial liability that he'll face, as well as his manager, who herself and her husband are on the lease going forward, it's a substantial burden. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars in lease payments for a business they expect it to continue operating lawfully. And I think with that, we'll submit our comments.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. And Detective Sergeant, if you'd like to give a closing argument.
The only additional comment that I'll make is that one of my detectives just pulled up that website I was referencing, and there are 13 different female names listed on that website. That's all.
Thank you, Detective.
Is that the website that you said that was listed as the illegal activity being done by those people?
Before you answer that, Counselor, are we allowed to ask questions at this point, or just closing statements?
Well, this was intended to be closing statements, and
I think we better stay within the protocol and not ask questions. But thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. This time, it's in the hands of the City Council to make a decision.
All right. I have some things I have to read and ask you questions because of the protocol. Has anyone on the City Council received information prior to this hearing that is not contained in the staff report or the documents submitted to the City Council in the agenda packet? That's for me as well. In this administrative appeal, Only the parties, their designated representatives, and all designated witnesses may testify before the City Council. At this time, I ask that each party, the representatives, the translator, and designated witness. Oh, we've done this. I'm sorry. I should have read this before. I apologize. Okay, so it's in the council's hands. Does anybody have any comments? I think it's a pretty clear case, but I'm open to hearing this.
So taking a look at the facts, 2 out of 2, I'll call them stings, there was illegal activity going on. 2 out of 2. That's 100%. We got 43 comments of illegal sexual activity on this website, and I know those people aren't here for anybody to cross-examine, so I give that less credence, of course. We've tried, I know Bob and I for now, 22 years that we've been involved with the city to make this a safe, wholesome, family-friendly community. And I believe that the activity going on here is not safe, wholesome, or family-friendly, or moral. So it's my inclination to deny the appeal.
Any other thoughts or concerns?
Certainly the issue of the lease was brought up quite a bit. I don't see Mr. Sun on the lease. It would be up to a court to determine, but if he's not on the lease, I don't know that he has liability for the lease. If he's been making payments, does he have vicarious liability for the lease? I don't know. That's for somebody else to decide. But today, his name's not on the lease, nor is any owner of his business on that lease. He's the sole owner. If anything, I think it has put his manager and her husband in a difficult spot to be on the lease instead of himself. That there have been 2 arrests during his ownership are troubling. That there are I think the admission of lack of oversight is not an excuse for preventing crime. And this is, I guess at this point, an alleged crime still because it hasn't gone through the court system. So we need to be fair about that. But lack of oversight seems to be a big issue here. And the fact that 2 people have been arrested under his ownership is very troubling. I think most people in El Cajon would say 2 arrests at a location in the past 3 years is not the kind of business we want in our city. And I'll leave it at that.
Anybody else? Phil.
I tend to agree with my colleagues. I'm a business owner myself, and a lack of oversight, as Councilman Goebel said, isn't an excuse to let your business run rampant and really let it run itself. It sounded like the massage therapists were really running the place instead of the managers or Mr. Soon. I'm going to be voting no to I'm going to be voting for the denial of the special operations license.
Okay, just to clarify, if we want to allow the business to continue, we'd be voting yes to grant the appeal. If you want the business not to continue, then you vote no. Correct? Anybody like to make a motion, or is there more discussion?
I'll go ahead, Gary.
I'll make a motion. I vote no. I do not want to grant the appeal.
Second.
All right, it's moved and seconded. Please vote.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to reset the vote, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure we did this correct. Again, if you, so the question is, do we want to grant this appeal? So, Gary, if you do not want to grant the appeal, your motion should be that you want to deny it.
Okay, then I'll restate my motion. I want to deny the appeal. That will be my motion.
That's a yes or no.
Yeah.
An affirmative vote would be your intent to deny the appeal. So if you vote yes, it's to approve the motion, which is denying the appeal.
Okay. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short 5-minute break, and we will be back to continue with the City Council meeting. Okay. We're going to continue with administrative reports. We have several administrative reports on today's agenda. Item 13 is an update on the homeless program. I'd like to ask our staff to tell us about this, please.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, good afternoon. Today's agenda item is for staff to provide a year-end report on the homeless programs that the city's been funding this past year, and then also to seek some council direction on how the limited funding that is available should be administered in the upcoming year of 2020. Just as a reminder, there's sort of two overarching goals for the homeless programs that we've presented. One is to provide permanent housing for those that are in our community. And second is to address the impacts of homelessness and their negative impacts on our community, such as preserving the neighborhoods and parks and other municipal amenities. So as a reminder, we funded through this past year 7 homeless-related programs, and I'm going to provide just a little bit of information on each of these programs, a little bit about how much it costs us and some of the benefits or accomplishments from those various programs. The first program that we funded, and we started funding this in the last quarter or the fourth quarter of 2017, is the El Cajon Housing Connections Program. We rely on Crisis House to administer this program. As you recall, this program pays for a housing navigator and then also housing or rental assistance money that the housing navigator can utilize to help folks get into homes. We allocated $150,000 this past year. This is our second allotment of $150,000, and we're able to use low, moderate funds, housing funds, to accomplish this. We've been able to, through this program, permanently find housing for 86 individuals that were once homeless on in our community, which is a pretty miraculous thing. This slide here shows the progress by quarter for the last 2 years, and in that one quarter in 2017. As you can see, in 2019, we were able to place 22 individuals into permanent housing through this program. Also, I should note that the Crisis House has an agreement with the city that expires in March of this year, and in our agreement we have targets for them to meet, and in each year that they've been operational, they've met those different targets that we've set for them. It's also, I think it's important to note the cost per person to house. If you take our total investment in this program divided by the 86 people that have been housed, it comes out to be about $2,800 per person to find permanent housing, or $4,400 per family, which in the big scheme of things in the affordable housing world, that's pretty inexpensive. Go to the next slide. The next program that we have funded is a Way Back Home program. It's administered through the Salvation Army. Since 2017, they've been able to place 73 individuals into permanent housing. And go to this next slide. This slide, again, is similar to the previous graph that shows by quarter folks that have been placed. This last year, we've been able to, so far, with money still remaining in the contract, 38 individuals. And so this is an ongoing, very successful program. We estimate that this program costs about $230 per person to relocate them to a loved one or to some permanent housing. The next program that we've been administering is a program through the East County Transitional Living Center, and it is where we use community development block grant money to pay for shelter space at the ECTLC's facility. This past year, they've been able to provide 270 individuals with emergency shelter, and this is typically during the cold winter months. The city allocates the $100,000 using community development block grant monies for this, and it costs, if you average it out, it ends up being, I believe, between $40 and $50 per person per night to house somebody. This program has also been very beneficial because it's actually been a funnel to get individuals connected with our East County Housing Connections program and with the Way Back Home program and with other services, and actually into ECTLC's other housing programs as well. So through that, we've been able to use that program to parlay 104 individuals to find permanent housing. And some of those are double counting people that are taking advantage of the Way Back Home and the Housing Connections program. But quite a successful program, and that doesn't even include the other things that we don't fund, which I'll talk about in a little bit. We also rely on the East County Transitional Living Center to pay for a program that we started and piloted at the end, or the second half of 2019, called our Clean Streets program. We hire ECTLC and a crew with vehicle to go and make pickups around the city. They receive a route every day of places that they're to go, and when we see hot spots, we send them there. They also have a routine route that they go on where there's high traffic areas of debris left. And mostly it's anything. It could be debris that's left by people that are homeless or individuals that have homes, but they also play an integral role in our public works staff's ability to address the homeless trash that's left in our streets. This past year, they've made about 1,000 pickups and have picked up 120 tons of debris off of the city streets. This program costs $6,000 a month. It has expired. We no longer have their services. In fact, I recently reached out to the Public Works Yard hoping to get them to come out, and was reminded as I dialed the phone that we don't have them, so we had to have our crews go pick them up. So if we were to renew this, we'd put them back to work and get them helping augment our city staff. If you look at the cost of this program, and then you take the savings that we're experiencing from our own crews being able to do other things, it nets a savings of about $45,000 per 6 months. So we think this is a valuable program. Another program, and this is, by the way, funded through the general fund. Another program that we have relied on is the East County Homeless Task Force. It runs under the auspices of the Chamber of Commerce. This has really been the clearinghouse of big ideas. It's a way for thoughts to be vetted. It's a great place for community to come together. And if there's someone that wants to be involved with solutions, this is a place that we can send them, and they can either be involved or not be involved. But if you look at the number of meetings they had 115 community meetings this past year, clearly ample opportunities for anyone in the community that has a place in their heart for this to be involved in some way, shape, or form, and they're always looking for more assistance. The city did use general fund money this past year to help them run the program. That was within my discretion as a city manager. It's in my spending authority. When I pledged that amount, it was with other leaders from the other 3 East County cities and with the County of San Diego. When that pledge was made, I asked the other 4 governmental entities to just match that of what the city did. So between the 4 of them, come up with another $5,000. It's my understanding that as of to date, those other entities have not come up with that match. It seems like an easy thing for our neighbors to contribute to the homeless programs. Council, this makes me feel that the city of El Cajon is on its own in this area. We also, although don't financially support the Regional Task Force on Homelessness, we do provide folks that go to their meetings. They're an important entity in our region. They distributed $1.7 million in homeless emergency aid program funds. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, which is pretty important. And they will continue to administer a second year of funding this once this next round is completed. The last program that we fund is really more of an internal fund or an internal program. It's city staff. It's no one we hire specifically for this, but it certainly takes people away from almost every department in the city, away from their normal jobs, and we focus solely on homeless issues. This past year, we've done a lot of work. We reached out to 20, on average per week, 22 homeless individuals, offering them services. Many times we accompany other service providers. You can see a lot of outreach going on in this slide. We also do a lot of cleanup. Here's I'm going to show a couple of pictures of some of the cleanup that we've done. This is in a tunnel in one of our channels that goes under a street. This is what we found. This is us using heavy equipment to push that out and send that to the dump. Over the year, we have collected 176 tons of debris on city streets, sidewalks, parks, channels, creeks. If you do the math, that's about 350 pounds of trash and litter that has been left around our community that our staff has done an amazing job in cleaning up and taking care of and ensuring that our quality of life in the city of El Cajon is better. A couple other examples. This is an encampment we found at Hillside Park. This is on the skirt of city property and private property as it abuts up the hill. This was not the only encampment found in that area, but we spent an entire week with city crews. Almost every single public works staff dropped everything we were doing, and we dedicated an entire week towards cleaning this hill up and cleaning out debris. Here's a before picture of an underpass. Here's the after effect after we got there. We actually go into private property with this team as well when we see issues. Here's an encampment forming on private property. Here's what it looks like after we got done. So there's been a lot going on. In all, we've spent $640,000 this past year on a per capita basis. That may be more than any other city in the county. I don't know that for sure, but I know that we are doing far more than most of our neighbors are doing. I think it's important to note, I'd be remiss if I didn't call out that we have many helping hands in our community. It's not just these 7 programs that are funded by the city of El Cajon. There are many organizations, entities, individuals, groups, churches that have a passion for this and want to make a difference, and so they reach out. My staff reports identifies 4 of them. I'm just going to briefly mention them. ECTLC continues to be an amazing partner with the city of El Cajon. They do perhaps more than any other organization in the county of San Diego. Besides the 343 individuals that they served through our program, they served over 800 individuals through their own program, which is a religious-based program, which is not funded for the city because of that. They've served thousands of meals, and they are a wonderful conduit for getting individuals into programs, into shelter, into permanent housing. We work closely with the McAllister Institute. They're an organization that goes out and they help individuals find treatment and sobriety. They place people into sober living facilities. They're a great conduit into our Connections housing program and through a Way Back Home program. They've done amazing work in the city of El Cajon. Meridian Southern Baptist Church is exploring lots of different opportunities, maybe even some tiny homes as a way to provide some temporary housing. So another example of just thinking outside the box and looking for opportunities to be involved. Their head pastor, Roland Slade, is a board member on the Regional Task Force on Homelessness, a huge advocate for the city at the region, and we appreciate a lot of his work. And we have even folks like Mr. John Simon. He's in the audience tonight. He's actually realized that a lot of folks that are incarcerated are also homeless, and as soon as they are released, are going to be released onto our streets. He reaches out to them and tries to establish connections with them and other service providers before they're even released. So when they get out of jail or prison, they have services waiting for them and are able to get into housing. So just a plethora of organizations and entities and individuals that are making a difference in our community and really augmenting the work that the city is able to do with its meager amount of money. I mentioned earlier that there's some HEAP funding, Homeless Emergency Aid Program funding. It's been allocated by the state of California for the next 2 years. The regional task force has allocated almost $20 million in funding throughout the region. $1.7 million of that is going to East County specifically. Crisis House is getting money for housing navigation, similar to our program. Home Start is a new organization in our community that we're getting to know. They have also received housing navigation money. The Salvation Army took our little pilot program that we developed with them and are expanding it countywide. It's very exciting to be part of that on the ground floor. Maybe something we aren't getting credit for regionally for helping to fund and get that little infant grown up. And I've also learned that Family Health Centers also has housing navigation countywide, but they actually have an individual here in East County that's providing similar housing navigation services. So through this HEAP funding, it's my understanding that there are 3 separate housing navigation programs that are going to be funded to augment what we have currently going on. In my staff report, I talked about I presented some homeless enforcement data. I think it's pretty relevant because it certainly shows some of where we're going, and I want the council and frankly the community to understand what some of the expectations from our community is, and maybe some of that may be a little unrealistic. But if you look at calls for service for homeless related calls specifically, you can see that between 2013 and 2018 it's grown dramatically every year. Beginning in 2019 we saw our first drop, which is pretty exciting, and I think there's a couple reasons for that, and I don't have scientific backing behind it, but I have sort of 3 plausible hypotheses, and they probably are all a little bit valid. One, I think the cynical part of me says people are tired of calling. It's the new norm. People expect it. When I talk to teenagers and I point out homeless individuals, they go, what? They have a right to be there too. And so I think there's an expectation or a new standard in our society that it's appropriate to have a tent on the sidewalk. I think that we actually have less encampments in our community because of the work that we've done to find housing for individuals. And so there's less calls. I think another factor is our quality of life team has made a big difference. We were studied this last year by a capstone group from our San Diego State's public administration program. Graduate students are required to do a capstone project. And we had a group of 4 students that dove into our data, looked at every time we did an enforcement detail or an outreach detail, and then they looked at our call volume. And they looked at it since we started doing this, and they noticed a sharp decline in calls for service the 3 days after we did some sort of activity, when we were out and about in the community. And so the more that we're out in the community, I think we are proactively handling problems before residents feel that they have to call us and let us know about issues. Another point I want to make about law enforcement is even though there are those that say AB 109 and Prop 47 does not have a positive impact or has not impacted adversely communities with homelessness, we are anecdotally seeing that is not the case. We know that last year, a minimum of 17 individuals that were released under the AB 109 program, which are individuals released early from incarceration through a probation program, were homeless. And we know that number is heavily underreported. We know that individuals use county office buildings and other addresses as addresses that don't exist. And so we think that number is much higher. Personally, through some of my own analysis, I think it's more like 25 or 25% of the individuals that are released under AB 109 are released as homeless individuals. Last thing I want to point out is the Martin versus the City of Boise case has limited our ability to enforce, such as camping in public. However, I don't think the average El Cajon resident cares what the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals opined. I think they have an expectation that we handle it some way or another. And so we're trying to, within the bounds of the law, meet that expectation. As I talk about our recommendations for next year, that's a big factor into one of the recommendations I'll be making. So let's talk about next year, 2020. We came up with some factors that we thought were important in how we allocate funding for the next year and beyond. One is this infusion of HEAP money, and with Governor Newsom's proposal to add additional homeless funding, we think that does play a role. And if there's some ability to augment what we're doing already with someone else's money, the state's money, finally, I think that makes sense, and we should take that into consideration. I think the impacts of the Martin versus the City of Boise case are important things for us to think about and what kind of programs we allocate funding to. I think that there has been some evidence that there's a slowing down of activity with housing navigation, and that's in no way, shape, or form a slight on the Crisis House and anyone else that's doing housing navigation. I think that there's more housing navigation happening, so I think that has probably slowed down our program. I think that we've also been able to help many of those individuals that were ready to move into housing, and so our housing navigators having to deal with more difficult clients and more difficult cases and a lot more case management to do that. I do know that the county or the region has required some additional reporting that does slow down the whole process because there's more intake information that has to be gathered. But there is a noticeable slowdown in the amount of housing navigation that's happening, so maybe there's some opportunities to focus on other things. And lastly, I think whatever we fund, the notion should be that it funds long-term positive impacts geared toward getting people towards permanent housing and not towards accommodating a homeless lifestyle in the city of El Cajon. So with that, let me talk about some of the if you take all the programs and you're to put them into sort of buckets or categories, we came up with these 5 categories: clean streets and neighborhoods, increasing the supply of temporary shelter, looking for opportunities for more positive or proactive outreach with our homeless community, continuing collaboration at a regional level, and then of course the ongoing housing navigation and assistance. So based on those factors and those bucket of program ideas, staff's come up with 6 recommendations that we're presenting for City Council consideration and some dialogue and ultimately some direction and feedback. But first is we think that it would be important to extend the contract or the agreement for clean streets with the East County Transitional Living Center. I think that's a high priority in staff's mind. I think that we continue our city's quality of life team. Again, no additional staff would be hired. We just continue to do some of the things that we've done. We meet on a regular basis and think what's working, what's not working. And so we're always exploring opportunities to make that team better and more effective. But I want them to know that if we were to continue this, how appreciative I am, because they do a difficult job that nobody else in this room would like to do, but has to be done. I also think that we should probably be focusing on the expansion of temporary shelter inventory. I think rather than the idea of one large shelter, like you see in San Diego, where there's several hundred people under one tent or under one roof, I think we have some amazing partners that we could form partnerships with around the community on a small-term basis or a short-term basis, small projects, maybe even kind of pilot programs. But I think there's some amazing innovation and ingenuity that I think we should take advantage of. I don't know how we get there, but if council thinks this is a priority, we'll come back with a plan of how to get there. And I think there's some value in that. While I'm making that recommendation, I think it's important that I sort of counter my recommendation with an argument. And that, frankly, council, is that we have a lot of temporary shelters. And this is data from the Regional Task Force on the homelessness. But if you look at our temporary shelters on a per capita basis, and I use every 10,000 individuals, we have 2.5 times the amount of shelters than any other city in the county of San Diego. We have done our share. You'll notice that there are a couple absent names from up here. The city of Santee, the city of La Mesa, the city of Lemon Grove are not up there, and the county of San Diego is not up there. I'm kind of going on a personal opinion here, if you can allow me this. The county of San Diego has talked about temporary shelters. They've actually allocated money for programs for temporary shelters, but have yet to build temporary shelters. In my mind, if the city of El Cajon is going to focus on this, I think a message needs to be sent to the county of San Diego that they need to step up their efforts in unincorporated areas that surround our community, that impact our community, like the areas of Lakeside and Spring Valley, and become a partner with Lemon Grove, La Mesa, and Santee to help them accomplish the things that we've been able to do. I know that there's a lot of critics of the city of El Cajon and what we've done in the past. Those critics should be silenced based on this slide alone. Moving on, I think that we need to increase our outreach. And I honestly don't know what that means, but I think there's opportunities to reach people at the right moment. And frankly, it's not always with an individual wearing a police uniform. And frankly, that's probably not the right person to make that outreach. We interact with them on a negative basis a lot of times. So having other folks to help us, we would like to explore what that looks like. One opportunity for that is perhaps we put out a request for qualifications or even a request for interest to see what entities are willing to do and to help us. Council member.
Yeah, I think the El Cajon Transitional Living Center would be a great provider of that type of thing. We could contract with them to, because a lot of them came from that community, and they could maybe support and work on a task force talking to these people, the outreach, and go out and talk to them and see if they couldn't, and we could have a contract with them to do that. And also the contract that we had with them that expired, I don't see why the city couldn't, with the vote of the city council, extend that for the next 6 months before the next budget is coming up.
Absolutely.
I would like to see that happen.
Absolutely. I think that using or relying on the ECTLC to help with outreach is a great idea. I don't know if they're interested in that, and that's the idea of doing a request for interest, because there may be a lot of entities where we're not just focused with one partner. We have 6 different partners that help us with this, and maybe each has a different niche. So it's an area that I think is worth exploring, and I think them as an ally in this area is a very positive one. I think that we need to continue support for our regional task force and our local East County task force. And lastly, housing navigation assistance should continue to be a priority. However, as HEAP money is augmenting or backfilling some of the work that we've done, this certainly allows us to use those limited funds. And as the staff report indicates, it's only about $250,000 of funding to other things that may augment what we need regionally. I'll point out the funding source that we're relying on, this low mod housing fund, is limited. And every dollar we take out of that, it's not being replenished with other monies. It is depleting this fund that we hopefully can use to build affordable housing projects like Cornerstone, by the way, which is 100% full right now. And so, and I'll get the council some more information on that shortly. But so we don't have money to do everything, so there are some decisions that have to be made at some point. But getting some basic guidance and feedback and direction from council based on these recommendations will help us present a spending plan for the city council into 2020 and 2021. So that concludes my report. I apologize for its length, but there's a lot that we've covered and a lot of success that we've had, but some big decisions that are going to come up in 2020. So seeking to answer any questions that you might have or helping to facilitate a conversation with the city council.
So we'll start with questions of staff first, then we'll go to public comments. Any questions? Thanks, Graham. It was very comprehensive, and I think we've got a lot to think about. I'd like to hear what the public has to say, and then we'll discuss some more. Angela, any speaker cards?
We do, sir. We have four cards. The first one is Anna Marie Picconi Snyder.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. My name is Anna Marie, and when I'm done with this job, I'd like to be the mechanic for the city. Just joking.
Can you restore old cars?
I love that. Good evening, Mayor Wells, Councilman, City Manager, and staff. I am the coordinator for the East County Homeless Task Force, which is sponsored by the East County Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber was responsible for the initiative of convening all sectors of the East County communities around homelessness at a time when this was unheard of. Communities from Lakeside across the 4 cities to Spring Valley and out to Alpine and the Mountain Empire were operating in silos, unaware of resources and services available to their homeless residents. In 2016, when the task force began meeting, the East County was considered a service desert, and there was much desire to draw more service providers to the region and explore solutions that had worked in other areas. Through meetings, educational presentations, and strategizing, we have done this and more. In 2019, the City of El Cajon began assisting the Chamber of Commerce with funding the coordination of this task force. We hope that other cities will follow suit, and we're very grateful for the support for these coordination activities, so thank you. For 2020, the task force has come together around the single goal of increasing the range of shelter and housing available to those who are homeless. For this reason, we do support the City Manager's recommendation number 3 to identify partners that can expand the number of temporary shelter spaces, with the caveat that that's only one step in the continuum that's necessary for shelter and housing for people that are homeless. We especially support the idea of a motel conversion. Brad Russell, who's here from McAllister Institute, lives in Chula Vista, and they've done a couple motel conversions successfully, and Brad says it's been very helpful for the homeless situation down there. We also support recommendation number 5 to continue the funding of rapid rehousing. It's a permanent solution, and it also represents another solution in the continuum of housing needs. What's not represented is the need for housing options for residents in the extremely low income level, and we will continue to work with the East County communities this year to address this. Lastly, of course, we support recommendation number 6 for the City of El Cajon to continue to lead the way by their example of funding and participation in the task force. I want to let you know that I am not speaking in my own voice. I'm speaking for the whole task force. Many of the members are here today. Would you mind standing? And many more are not here. And they are volunteers, all volunteers. And very commendable, and there are many businesses that support their staff people coming to these meetings and assisting with solutions and strategies. So thank you, City Manager, and thank you, Councilman. Any questions?
Questions? No. Thank you. And thank all of you for the hard work you do. It's very appreciated.
Jim Sirigliano.
Thank you, Mayor,
Jim,
Council, staff, and thank you, Mr. Mitchell, for your report. Okay, everything is funding, no matter where it comes from, and every effort should be made to get as much funding as possible. There's never enough for the homeless situation. I've spoken to you about my own feelings here last year about the homeless situation and my personal contact with people. I think one of the most important things is the proactive action, direct action with the homeless people. I have some other suggestions about it, and it's. I think that probably works best for the city for immediacy. I've heard ideas of people having the city have a van and going out and actually picking these people up and taking them to provide services multiple times on a daily basis. And as you know, Mayor, a lot of these problems, be they drugs or a lot of it's mental problems also. But that's all I have to really say about it right now. But it's an ongoing problem. It's going to be here for a while at all levels of government, as you know. And but I really believe that direct interaction with the homeless people is the first big step, and to get their confidence. 2 or 3 times you have to go back sometimes to get people for various reasons that they won't accept assistance. And you were kind enough to let me speak multiple 3-minute sections one time, and I did speak about my own personal experience as a business owner. So, but I thank you very much, and thank you again, Mr. Mitchell.
Thanks, Jim.
Mary Case.
Hey, Mary.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Mary Case, Executive Director with Crisis House. I just want to say I'm glad to see these recommendations come out. I think asking for RFQs with dates and some commitments with them, I think this is needed to find out who might do something that we don't even know about, and so that will bring that out. It concerns me a little that the number one goal, is to get permanent people permanently housed, and yet it is being threatened to lower priority for funding. That is the project that we're doing with El Cajon Housing Connections in the city of El Cajon. I think that the slowdown that was mentioned, there's a natural, as you saw from those graphs, ebbs and flows, highs and lows, just like the police calls, just like this. You've got to keep talking to people, keep encouraging people to access services, and it takes time. There was something different that's occurring in this last year has been the advent of a new homeless management information system and it's the coordinated entry system. And we weren't having to use that so much in our first year of operation because they were in the process of a change. So now that is affecting some ebb and flow in terms of who we have in the queue. They prioritize that, not us anymore. And so so anybody that comes up as a resident of El Cajon that's homeless would come to us. But there's some delay in that time frame. So I wanted to clarify that. And I also wanted to mention that the HEAP funds that are mentioned are time limited. I know it said it in the report, but I just want to reinforce that a little bit. We were happy, though, to be able to. So, for instance, if the money that we have a budget for 1 year for $300,000, if we spend it all, that's it. If we don't, we have the opportunity to possibly keep those funds in year 2. It's not guaranteed. So if somebody else in North County is using those funds at a higher level, for instance, funds could get diverted if there's money left on the table after the first year. We don't know how that's going to go. So I just wanted to mention that because that can't be the only thing that we look at. And the $640K in cleanup, maybe doing more housing would impact that. So I applaud that we're doing more housing. I'm just very concerned about the comments made in recommendation number 5 when it's the number one goal to get people permanently housed. And also there's $255,000 dedicated to rapid rehousing, which is what we're doing. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Mary, Councilman Goldwell has a question for you.
Hi, Mary. At one time, you had a position called a housing locator in addition to a housing navigator. Do you still have that position?
We do, although it primarily targets domestic violence. That's who the funding source is for. But because she is looking for housing for those populations, she gives us a lot of leads for other housing needs.
Okay, thanks.
Can I just squeeze one thing in about recommendation number 3? We need to look at how many of those beds are being used. If we have that many beds, Why are there still people on the street? It's close to the number of unsheltered. So are the beds going unused? And if they are, is that about rules? So, and if we add more beds looking for an RFQ, please keep that in mind, because it may not impact who's on the street at all if we aren't flexible about who we let in, and take higher risk, take substance abusers that if, as long as their behavior is okay, we'll keep them in, and we'll keep encouraging treatment. I'll tell you, Brad will be out there every day talking to people about treatment. So I'm just saying that we have to keep that in mind if we really want to impact on the street.
That's fairly controversial, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's fairly controversial, isn't it? The idea of housing people that won't stop using drugs and alcohol. Doesn't that put us in a position where we're encouraging that kind of behavior? And
No, I don't believe so. I did it for 39 years at Father Joe's. So it's a way to bring people in and then try and address the next step. If we just did bridge housing, I would say that there's people that we would enroll in that program that for El Cajon Housing Connections, if they were in bridge housing, we could house them faster. It's sort of a nice funnel. So I just want to mention that. But remember, we have a Housing First initiative, and that does not require sobriety to go into permanent housing or temporary.
All right, thank you very much.
Our last speaker is Amanda McGempsey.
Hi, Amanda, welcome.
Hello. Okay, good evening, Council. As an El Cajon resident and as a volunteer for the East County Homeless Task Force, I am encouraged to see El Cajon refocus their efforts to bring more shelter and housing options to the city. Often when I speak with service providers, the number one issue that they are dealing with is a lack of housing options for their clients. That is why the task force has made shelter and housing our main priority for 2020, and we hope that El Cajon can become a leader in the East County towards this goal as well. I encourage the city to strengthen their partnership with the task force and utilize the expertise and experience that our members can share. We are a diverse group made up of over 400 residents, community partners, churches, businesses, law enforcement, service providers, government employees, as well as current and former homeless. In 2019 alone, we held over 115 meetings working on a range of issues, such as youth and veteran homelessness, access to services, and of course, shelter and housing. Many of the members are here today to show their support to bring more shelter and housing options to El Cajon. One of the many benefits of partnering with a community-based group like the task force is having access to the collective knowledge of such a diverse group who have experience with the topic from a wide range of perspectives. And we have all come to the same conclusion, that we need more shelter and housing options in the East County. As an example of how the task force can help support this goal, the task force developed the Shelter and Housing Report, which identified several interim and long-term housing solutions that cities, nonprofits, and faith-based groups can implement. Developed over an 18-month period, the report incorporates feedback from community leaders, government representatives, and service providers from throughout East County. As El Cajon continues to develop their shelter and housing plan, I encourage the city to utilize the Shelter and Housing Report as a resource, as well as reach out to the task force and use our expertise. The city should already have the report on file, but I will leave a hard copy if you would like to review it. I'd also like to invite the council to attend our quarterly general meetings. Councilman Ortiz, thank you for attending previous general meetings. I hope you found them valuable. The next general meeting will take place on January 29th, and we will have representatives from both the city of El Cajon and La Mesa to speak about their current homeless plans. We hope you can join us, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
No more speakers, sir.
All right, council, further discussion? Bob.
I
I don't know if we can or not, but I'd like to see that pickup by the Elko Transitional Living Center where they collect all those pickup loads. I don't know if we can do it at this meeting or whether it has to be a future meeting.
I think that was one of the recommendations, right?
Yeah. So we are presenting a lot of broad ideas. If we get some concepts back, we'll start implementing some of those things. So if one of those is to move forward with the contract, it's in my authority to do that again. But because it's now more than my authority, I may have to bring that back. But I'd like to bring it back as fast as possibly if I have to bring it back. Otherwise, I would just do it on my own if council gave me authority to do that.
First off, is anybody opposed to the concept?
No.
Could we give you authority to pay for enough to get it started without having to wait to come back again?
I don't know. We'll have to explore that with finance, purchasing, and the city attorney. But I understand your intent.
The intent, yeah.
Maybe you could do 3 months under your authority and then bring it back for council to extend it.
I think I have some authority still left under my purchasing power, and then we could bring the rest back, yeah.
So you had a chance to hear about all the different programs that we're involved in. Does anybody have any desire to change that direction, or do you want to encourage the staff to continue along that same direction?
I like what staff is doing. I think it's really good, especially contracting out with ECTLC. We're actually saving general fund money, and $90,000 a year. That's a lot of money. So, that we're saving, and it helps the organization. It's actually out there helping the homeless. So it's a double win. And I would like to also take this moment to thank all the people on the East County Homeless Task Force for you care so much about the people in this community and this community that you're spending your valuable time going to meetings and helping come up with a solution. And that's just incredible. There are not a lot of places where people do that. So this is pretty unique. So thank you so much.
I have some suggestions, but before I say that, does the council have any new suggestions that they'd like to give the city staff?
I worked with Pastor Roland Slade at Meridian Baptist and was following the Amicus housing initiative that he started. It was $4,000 for that 120 square foot mini house. I think it's a great idea for a short-term shelter. He wanted to do about 6 of those on his property. His intent is to have outside services come in and help people at the shelter there so that they can be addressed right there in that spot. I think there are some people who are homeless who don't want to be in a large group setting. And if you have a setting of perhaps 6 on a property, that may be a hole that we haven't plugged yet. And at $4,000, a cost for 6 of these, $25,000, I think that's an exceptional use of CDBG money or low, moderate income housing if we have that commitment to, on the program side, to come serve those people. I think that's a great way to prove a concept to other jurisdictions, just as we have proved the concept here in the past couple of years.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just want to say that I agree with Steve. I think that's a great idea. One size doesn't fit all, and I think there's a lot of people that would be reluctant to go into a large group setting, and maybe they'd be more comfortable if there were 6 little tiny houses there for them to sleep.
Right. Yeah, I think the key is the details: security, hygiene, supervision. But I'm ready to vote yes for somebody who's willing to step up and say, put 6 of those on our property. I think this council's ready to say, that's a bargain. So if Pastor Rowland is delayed for I don't know what reason, let's find somebody who's ready to do it. This council, I think, is ready to do that.
Great. Thank you. My thoughts were, I like the direction you're going in. I think we should continue doing all that. I'd like to do a couple other things. One is I think we need to set up a meeting with representatives from the other cities and the county to find out why they have not been willing to do what they said they were going to do as far as their involvement. And I think we could encourage them to be more involved. There's a report out of Chicago right now about a new concept of emergency funding for not people that are your typical homeless folks that are oftentimes have mental illness and substance abuse problems. We oftentimes hear about people that are down on their luck, they've lost their job, and even though I don't think that's a large percentage of the homeless population, what Chicago has done is they set up a fund to give people a one-time infusion of some capital to help them prevent eviction. And it's been, they're at least reporting that it's been extremely successful in keeping families from going through that process of ending up on the street. And I don't know where that funding would come from, but I have faith in you to find it. And then the last thing is I'd like to get some kind of a report on what's happening with PERT. That's the Psychiatric Emergency Response Team, and the Homeless Outreach Team. Find out how much they're being involved in El Cajon, what's their availability, what's the necessity for more involvement, and just get an overall direction of how those services are helping us. Other than that, I think, well done. Continue the course, and we'll wait to hear back from you. When would you come back and tell us what's happening?
Well, on the PERT memo, we can just provide a memo to council, give you an update on that. It's easy to do. We'll take the feedback that we heard tonight and these plans and start probably the next meeting or two bringing forward some proposals for releasing of requests for qualifications or interests, and start some funding plans.
Great. Do you need a vote on this, or is direction enough?
I'll look to legal counsel, but I'm okay with what I heard tonight. I think it's clear to me of where you want staff to go.
I think he was, city manager was looking for direction that's been given to him, so without a motion is fine.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Then we will move on to...
Bill, could I add one more thought to that, to Gary's comments? It's in a way, it's kind of easy for us to sit up here and push a button and fund it. It doesn't take a whole lot of work. The fact that you all wake up every morning saying, what are we going to do to help homeless people? That's who does all the work. So great job. It's easy to push a button. The hard work is done by you all lifting a heavy load. So great job.
Thank you.
Hey, Steve. Good to remind us of that. Okay. Moving on to item number 14. Item 14 is a report on sewer billing services, and I'll ask staff to tell us about this.
This is really good. I don't know why you guys are leaving. I spent a lot of time on this. Man.
They just don't...
I showered today, too.
They don't know how exciting sewer billing services can be. I've been waiting for this all day.
Well, it's probably about 6 weeks you've been waiting for this because,
that's true. Like
as you recall, in November, at our November council meeting, we came to you with an emergency item. We had just found out the day before that our sewer billing company, who offers sewer billing, sewer mailing, sewer processing for our residents and our businesses here in the city, was going out of business. And so that constituted the necessity for the emergency council agenda item. And at that meeting, you gave the city manager the authority to enter into agreements to maintain services. And so also you asked that we come back in January to report on what's been going on. So I'm here today to kind of share with you just that. And so we're going to try to hit 3 purposes today. The first one is I'm going to report back on what we've done. Some of the actions that we've taken over the last month and a half requires ratification by the council. And then lastly, we're going to seek for some direction on long-term solutions. So I'm kind of teeing it up here, looking at which direction we're going to go. Okay, so the diagram that we have on the screen here shows the different services that the company that we were utilizing were providing. And those services, it's not very easy for one company to provide all these services. And as you recall, several years ago when we went out to bid, we only received one bidder to provide these services. And it was an all-encompassing provider, and they even struggled to get the bills out. You might recall that there were months that bills weren't sent out. Yeah. You recall. And so just kind of taking us back in time, these are the services that we've had to provide. So we formulated a team, and you got to understand over the last 6 weeks, we set some goals, and those goals were lofty. And without this team, there were some very special people here at the city, employees of the city, that spent a lot of time, especially around the holidays, to get this done. So just real quick, I want to recognize Blake, Yasmin. If you guys would stand, please, if you're here. Blake, Yasmin, Jeff, Monica, Clay, Sarah, Victoria, and Luca. They were instrumental. They're shy. They don't want to stand. Okay. But these people were amazing in helping us to do this because we had to drop everything. There were many options for us to review. And so when Fathom went away, they were initially Global Water. So I'm going to say Fathom, and it means the same thing. So if you see there, Fathom was doing all these things, they offered a bill pay for online payments. They did software to track customers when they called in, what they said and what we said to them. Also, the software tracked how much they would pay, so we generate our bills out of that software. We also input their water usage from Padre and Helix Water. Okay, they did bill printing and mailing. They had merchant accounts. They had customer service, a call center, and they imported and exported the data. So when they went away, we had to take all of these items and say, how are we going to replace that? And there really weren't a whole lot of options out there, especially one-stop shop options. So we went to work. What are some of the options that we have out there? A lot of companies. We analyzed different software companies that could handle this. And we analyzed customer service options. We analyzed who's going to import and export the data into the system. Who's going to do the bill pay for IVR, over-the-phone payments, and ACH, and all these other ways that our customers pay bills. And I know it sounds like really enthralling, right? Like this is super exciting stuff. But it was monotonous, and we had to dive deep, get into the weeds, and I won't take you there, I promise. For bill printing and mailing, there are companies out there, Utilitech and InfoSend, and for handling our merchants' accounts, well, that one was kind of easy because we already use U.S. Bank, and so we said, okay, that's a good option. It's somebody we're already using. So we wanted to maintain level of service. We wanted bills to continue to be sent out. We remember what it was like when they weren't, so we had to send out bills, and we had to make sure that payments were still able to be paid, okay? So we took those goals, and we started to run forward, and we really had to narrow down our options. And so after extensive research, we landed on for software advanced utility. Why? Well, we found out that Fathom, the software they were providing us, their software that they had branded, was actually someone else's software with their label on it. And so we reached out to that company, and they said, oh, sure, we'll provide you this. In fact, we'll go get the database from them and stand you up in less than 2 weeks. Okay? Everybody else on that list was going to be 6 to 8 months. So we said, great. And the price was right. I mean, the price was going up from what we were paying Fathom, but Fathom's out of business, so it's not an option anymore. Customer service, well, we said we can provide customer service in-house. We can do it better. That was one of our complaints with FASMs, that their customer service stunk. So guess what? We're going to get better on that. We're going to control it. We're going to do something in-house. But we need someone in the interim until we can hire somebody, right? And we're utilizing a position that was currently not filled. We're going to fill that position to be our customer service rep. But until then, NV5 said, we'll provide a call center for you. We'll take your calls and help you out. They also said they would help us with the import and export of the data until we could get our in-house person to do that. And Paymentus was a partner of Advanced Utility, and so with that one contract, we were able to get them on board to handle the bill payment so that customers could pay online, ACH, with a credit card, or whatever it might be. And then InfoSend, we had used them in the past. It's been a long time. Padre Dam and Helix Water, they use InfoSend to print and mail their bills. So our neighbors are doing it. So we said, great, you guys are offering us a great rate. And so U.S. Bank. So these were the options that we came forward. We had to look in the immediate now. What could we get up and running? But we only signed agreements through the end of the fiscal year, through June 30th, because we knew there were other options out there that may be more cost effective, but we couldn't implement now, okay? And we'll get to that. So we looked at short term, and we'll look at long term, meaning through June 30th of 2020. So guess what? Did we accomplish our goal? Heck yeah. Every bill that was supposed to go out in December went out in December. We had people here during the Christmas break week, and during the winter break, they were printing and mailing the bills to make sure that every bill that went out before December 31st. And it happened. And I'm emotional about it because these people gave everything. They did an awesome job. And we're going to still do it by hand, manually, until we get the new system online. And so our next round, I think, next week, we got to send out another 300 bills. And we'll do it. We're dedicated. Sarah Diaz, our IT director, she wrote a program to interpret the export of the data from the software and turn it into a PDF of bills that we could print and mail out. And literally did it in 2 days. And the company that we were going to said, oh, it'll take 4 to 6 weeks. And we said, well, we have a superpower. We have Sarah, right? And so she did it in 2 days, whatever. No problem. And she loved it. Customer service has been maintained. We have people in-house taking phone calls and emails. About 8 months ago, without even recognizing what we were doing, we actually said, why are we having our customers call an Arizona phone number for customer service? So we got our own phone number, our own El Cajon phone number, and then just forwarded it to the Arizona one. So now people, when they call, it's the same number, and we just redirect it. So I don't know, hindsight's 20/20, but I'm glad we did it. And same with the email address. When people have questions, we do that. And payment methods have been maintained. We were able to get new payment methods. People can make one-time online credit card payments easily from their living rooms or laptops or wherever it is. Okay, so we need to ratify some of these contracts. We signed contracts with Advanced Utility, NV5, and InfoSend. The NV5 one is under Graham's authority, the limits that he has to do that. So to ratify these, we are looking for the Advanced Utility Solutions and the InfoSend contracts. They are $160,000, and I definitely have a typo there, but that's okay. The actual amounts, I will correct that, are $160,000. And for InfoSend, it's 100. So, and that's in the staff report there. We are excited to report that we have been able to maintain these services, so we're asking for that ratification. So that brings us next to our long-term solutions. So we had some goals in seeking to accomplish our long-term solutions, and they are collectability. How much money, when we send out a bill for $100, how many people are paying us that $100 in return? Their sewer service costs them $100. It's an example number, $100, and some people just don't pay. And we have to lien. Every 3 months you see me up here saying, okay, we got to lien properties because they haven't been paying. Okay, and then a certain number of those never, ever get paid. So we wanted to look at that. Is there a way that we could increase the collectability? We wanted to look at the cost of doing business, the price. How much is it going to cost us moving forward? And what are the staff impacts? And what is our control long-term, longevity, with each of these options that we looked at? So we categorized this into 3 main options. And that was doing a fully contracted service, meaning outsourcing everything, kind of like we've been doing status quo, but it would be new people, new players, and it wouldn't be an all-encompassing one-stop shop, because that really doesn't exist anymore. In fact, we could probably get a better deal subcontracting it out, if you will. And so we looked at that and how much that would cost. We also looked at providing everything in-house, just saying, you know what, we'll do it ourselves. And how can we do this? And to be honest, we can do it. It's a viable option. And we would have to hire more staff in order to do it. That's and there's pros and cons with doing that for sure. So the cost for the fully contracted service is about $824,000 a year. Services provided in-house or internally would be about $890,000 a year. And then we came up with this third option, was the county tax roll program, or placing the sewer bills on the property tax bill. Okay? And this cost is considerably less. We don't have to pay credit card fees. We don't have to pay all these other things that are associated with that. And it's about $350,000 to $400,000 a year. We would still have a staff person to answer phone calls when people would call in. But once a year, we would send the bills out to the county, and they would put it on the tax roll for the property tax bill. And then we would, it's 100% collectability. The county takes on the liability. Every dime comes right to us twice a year, right? Every 6 months. So it looks good, and we said, is that too good to be true? And so we really had to dive in and say, well, what are some of the cons to doing a county tax roll program? We know before. We brought it before you. Some of you remember when it came before. We were proposing a 30-day transition, and a lot of landlords came forward and said, my tenant pays the sewer bill right now. It's in their name, and now if you put it on the property tax, now I am responsible for that. I need to amend my lease. 30 days is not enough. I can't do this. And so we listened to that. Well, we're coming to you now for direction, and if we decide to go this direction, we are saying, let's get the word out. Let's tell landlords out there that we're going to be doing this, because the soonest we could transition is in July. We could start this because that's when the county would take the next payment. So we've got 6 to 8 months to get this rolling. Additionally, we could, under your direction, propose a waiver process, a one-time, 1-year waiver. If you didn't have a contract or a lease term or a rental agreement come up within the next 6 to 8 months, that we could devise a waiver program that if you applied for it and you were accepted, meaning you had your lease wasn't up to renew for another year or so, we could give you another 12 months and we would just hand bill that account. It would be probably minimal, but we could come up with some type of waiver process. So let me tell you, 100% collectability, the price is much better. It's a lot lower. The staff impacts are minimal. We'd have to prepare tax roll documents to go to the county once a year, and long term, it's going on forever. If we went with a fully contracted service, we don't know what companies will do in the future, if they'll change their prices, if it'll go up. And in-house, the costs are just a lot higher. So I want to tell you a little bit about, did you have a question, Mayor?
I'll wait.
Okay. So I just want to tell you a little bit about why the county tax roll program is also something to consider. And the reason is 75% of agencies within the county who don't have a water department that they already attached their sewer bill to. So like City of San Diego, they have their own water department. Poway has a water department. So that's not an option for us. We don't have our own water department. We can't attach. By the way, we did ask Helix if they would take our bills back and put the sewer bill on the water bill. They said they can't, they won't, and they wanted to help us out, but it just wasn't an option. We also asked Padre Dam, and they said they can't. And also it would take a very long time to implement. So other agencies using the tax roll, 75%, like I said, are using tax roll. Okay, we're in the minority right now. And just for the record, that 25% in the county, they're not even Metro members. So we're the only Metro member of San Diego Metro that's not on tax roll. We're the lone wolves here. Just putting that out there. These are the other agencies. The three or so that comprise the 25% are Carlsbad, Del Mar, and Oceanside. And, you have I mentioned the other sewer bill agencies like Santee. Their sewer bill is on their water bill. So they're in a different scenario and situation. But those are the agencies: Chula Vista, Coronado, Imperial Beach, La Mesa, Lemon Grove, National City, San Diego County, Solana Beach, and Vista all use the county tax roll. Okay. So, where do we go from this? Well, we are recommending that we adopt the next resolution to ratify the amounts for the software purchases that we made, and to provide staff with direction on which option we should do for long-term solutions for the sewer billing system and program. So that's my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Bob?
Well, several years ago, I recommended that we put it on the tax bill way back when, and I didn't get much support for it. But I've always been an advocate of putting it on the tax bill because of the fact that I have property in La Mesa. It's on the tax bill there. I have a tenant with a lease. I just send him a letter every year and tell him how much the sewer bill is, and he includes it in his lease payment, in the December lease payment when I pay it in December. So it's very simple for a landlord to do that. And when something changes, I would imagine that most leases could be amended automatically because of the fact that this is something that's changed as far as the relationship between the taxpayer or the renter and the city. So I don't see where it would be a problem for a landowner to collect it from his tenant. It's on the. So I'm totally in favor of it. This was my idea several years ago. I think it's great.
That's where we got the idea. Thanks.
Yeah, I see.
It was all you.
Well, that was a couple city managers ago, I think.
Dirk, let's go back to the slide that has the three different options of the costs. Contract, there we go. The county tax roll program, does that cost include the cost of city employees who handle the customer service aspect?
Yes, it does.
So it includes that part. So the 150 program admin probably is part of the customer service done by the city. Okay.
Yes.
Second question I have is, what's a typical sewer bill? $100? Do you know what the typical?
It varies, but we could say $100 on average every 2 months.
Every 2 months. So $600 a year is a typical sewer bill. I'm trying to think of the burden. If we put it on a property tax bill, every April 10th and December 10th, you got to come up with this lump sum of money. And how much more are we burdening people? So the answer is $300 on average per 2 property tax payments. Okay, so I want to know what the burden there is. Do you know if this becomes a tax deductible portion of their property tax bill?
Depends on how they handle it with their attorney. Or their,
I'm not a tax advisor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express once, And it's my understanding that it's not, but a lot of people do it anyway.
Well, the legal answer is it's not tax deductible, I guess is what we're saying here. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Other questions? Gary?
Gee, it looks like would you save $400,000 or $500,000 a year? We pass on the savings to the customers, so that's a lot of money, and I think that's probably the way to go because 75% of the cities do it. Certainly isn't anything out of the ballpark. So, and I like the idea of having it set up for landlords so they can wait a year to get their leases in order. That was one of my big concerns before.
Absolutely.
A few questions. Thanks. Nice report, by the way.
Thank you.
Of these three scenarios, are any of these incurring more personable costs?
So the answer for the in-house solution is certainly yes. There is some additional employees that would be required for the contracted services, a little bit more management of various different contracts in there. Could we handle it with existing employees? I think we would have to increase slightly, one employee or so, 1.5, to get that done. The county tax roll definitely has the least impact on personable employees added to the mix.
The costs for these services in the past and in the future, have they been passed along to the consumer, or is this something that the city eats as a cost of doing business?
Absolutely not. We do not eat those. It is something that is incorporated into the cost of doing business, and so it is contemplated in our rate studies when we set rates. So all of this all comes out of the enterprise fund, the wastewater enterprise fund, and that is self-sustaining. It has to be. And so we look at that, and all of that is a cost on the bottom line. So we have our revenues and we have our expenditures, and this is one of the expenditures for that fund.
It's all revenue neutral, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have an impound account on your mortgage and you're paying your mortgage every month, the cost of your taxes is going to be dealt with. You never have to think about it.
Right.
What would happen to those people that had impound accounts that now had a sewer bill added to it?
I can tell you from experience because I am one of those people. I live in the next city over, La Mesa, and I pay on my property tax bill, just like Mr. McClellan mentioned earlier. And they just add it right into, they adjust your impound account, and so it comes out monthly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very simple process. It happened automatically once the bank sees the new property tax bill, whether it's a supplemental or anything like that. It just gets recalculated, and it goes right into your monthly.
Thanks. I think that answers my question. Bob?
Yes, couldn't we use, Graham, this is for you, couldn't we use, because the property tax bills only come out twice a year, couldn't we use temporary non-PERSable people just to answer those questions when they come in on that, or maybe one person for a short period of time? Because there wouldn't be many for the other months of the year, the other 10 months of the year, there wouldn't probably be any questions. And after we went through this one time, we probably wouldn't have it come up again because everybody know about it.
We would need to analyze that. I mean, one thing to consider is anyone we hired would be under PEPRA. So, I mean, the overall PERS liability would be less than say, Vince or I. But and it's a lower level paid position too. These are more clerical level positions, but we do have people that call all the time. Having worked in Lemon Grove that operated its own sewer program and operated and billed just like this, there was ongoing calls all the time about questions, services coming on, services coming off. So there's always a billing thing that needs to happen, even though maybe we bill through the county. There's the database has to be updated. There is ongoing work that would require that, but we can look at the most cost-effective way from a PERS perspective to accomplish the goal.
And we could also ask La Mesa while they handle their questions, because they just recently went on it, maybe the last 3 or 4 years. And
it was about 6 years ago.
Every year, La Mesa sends out a preliminary estimate of what your sewer bill is going to be over the next 12 months. And so they give the people a heads up ahead of time, and we could do that.
Absolutely, and we have been talking to them about that process. I actually worked for the city of La Mesa when we switched over, so I'm familiar with that process and the way that they do that.
Right.
It is something that we're going to have to look at in depth. There may be some changes to the way we calculate that are more efficient moving forward to help simplify the process, so we'll come back to you with that for sure. But definitely looking for direction on where we want to go, and then we'll vet all of that out and come back with a comprehensive proposal for you to approve and for us to move forward.
Well, thanks, Terry. I think,
just one more.
Okay.
I guess my comment or direction is with regard to notifying the public and the method that we're going to do that, because it seems as though we should do something different because it's a big change than the methods that we usually use to contact the public. So I don't know if that looks like a banner on the website that's really blatant. Hey, FAQs about your property or about your sewage, your new sewer bill, or something, a mailer that looks different than normal, to give our residents as much runway as possible to make those changes and be prepared.
We can make it look like a political slate. Actually, that's a great idea, and we kind of doing the same thing and expecting a different result is definition of crazy, right? So there's a lot of things that we should be doing, and so I think it's diversifying. We talked about that a little bit in the homelessness discussion. There's not one size fits all. There's not one solution to everything. I think we do need to diversify in how we put the word out there. Mailing, yes, there's still a lot of people who read their mail, send out those letters, hit everybody that way. But getting it out on the website and some other ways, we can certainly look at that, maybe even like a Facebook ad or something like that for our zip codes here would be very beneficial.
Communicating the reason behind the transition, I think, is very important as well. Yeah.
Good point.
All right, Dirk, thank you. Appreciate that. We'll listen to the public comment and we'll talk about it.
And we have no cards, sir.
No. Okay, then we will talk about it now. I got to tell you, I understand how this all makes a lot of sense, but I'm not sure that the people are going to like it. I remember the last time we talked about this, there was a hue and cry, and people were really upset. And so, if we end up going in this direction, I'd like to find a way to make sure that there were some public hearings and that there was opportunity for people to really voice their opinion on this, because this affects people's lives. This is one of those things we do that directly affects the financial life of a lot of folks, and maybe that's the way to go. But I think it's not as cut and dry as it might seem. Bob?
When we did this the last time and talked about it, we did have a public hearing, and there was a lot of conversation because of the fact that the sewer billing was not accurate at that time. That's when we were only sending out bills. Some of the people got bills, some of the people didn't get bills, and they got catch-up bills and things like that. So it was really a messed up. It wasn't a good time to bring it forward. The billings have been very routine from then on, and I think now is the time that the hour is about us here, and we need to do it now. And obviously, we'll probably have a public hearing. Isn't that correct?
So what we didn't want to do is get to that 11th hour when our temporary program expires, and then we say, oh, by the way, we need a long-term solution. So that's why we wanted to get this to you as soon as we could. As you remember, we knew about this in November, so this is about as soon as we could get it to you. If the direction from council is to explore using the county to bill on the property taxes, what we would do is we would bring forward a comprehensive plan of what that would look like, what kind of agreements would have to be in place, how the billing would change, and staffing levels, and present the waiver concept if that's something the council wants to consider. And then we would present that in the form of a public hearing, and then council could give direction to implement.
Yeah, I think it's important to move forward as fast as possible because of the fact that us doing it is twice as expensive as having it put on the property tax bill, and the money's the same for the city and to the citizens. So I think it's important to notice the public hearing as soon as possible and get on with it and stop fiddling around with it.
My recollection is last time people were concerned, the landlords, because there wasn't a waiver that was offered. So I think this would take away, a lot of their concerns. The other thing is, my recollection from having worked at the assessor's office is that the overwhelming majority of mortgages have an impound account. So they just the bank just sends something to the taxpayer that says, okay, this is your new mortgage payment, and it might be another $60 a month. It'll have a phone number there, and a whole bunch of people are going to call that phone number, to talk to the city and say, like what's going on. Then they explain it. So their burden for a lot of these people won't be an extra $300 every 6 months. It'll be just on their. Instead of sending it to the billing company or the city, they just send it to their mortgage company. An extra $50 a month. So that will take care of a lot of them. And then the thing that's really important to me is we're going to save almost $500,000 for our taxpayers. That's a lot of money.
5 or 6 police officers.
So if the county does it, is it a July 1st start date only?
It is. I'm remembering when I did this in another city, we would have to get to the county a August deadline to get onto the tax roll, but it started on July 1. So there wouldn't be a way to implement this any sooner than, and you'd have to wait till the next July 1 to implement if you wanted to do then.
So the window is this July 1st, or we wait a year?
That's correct.
From July 1st?
That's correct.
Okay, that's my first question. Let's go back to the slide that has the 3 program costs. Okay, so $824,000 per year. The risk that we tell taxpayers, ratepayers, that they have there is that $824,000 is made up of multiple companies who we don't have control over their operations, who we don't necessarily have control over their fees for service unless it's contracted. You can only increase by 3% a year or something like that. It's a risk of dealing with multiple vendors. There's a risk there. The in-house, as much as we have superb staff, I think the public would say you chose the most expensive option because you wanted to build your empire. And I think that's how the public would view that. The county tax roll program, this is an opportunity to actually, I think, the first one was $52 a month cost. The second one for program costs. The second one was $48 program costs. The third one is $23 per account program costs. I bet you that we're paying more than $23 per month per account now for program costs. This is an opportunity to say to ratepayers, we're actually going to lower the program costs for the sewer program if we go on the county tax roll. We don't have an opportunity like that often to say, we're going to lower your costs. However, we have to provide lots of public input because this needs to be, the public needs to be persuaded this is a really good choice to do it this way. If you have to write a check twice a year, an average of $300 more, I take the $25 a month savings. That's $300 a year savings to me versus the other options. I'll take $300 savings if I can get that. The other cities that do it, Lemon Grove and National City, have similar demographics than us. They're on the county tax roll program. So I was concerned about some of the lower income people. I think I've met my answer there. Renters, this could be put on a monthly lease thing. People who are homeowners, I don't see it as a burden, especially if we have a chance to save money. I think the county's the way to go, but we have to let the public know, but we have to move quickly because July 1st is our window.
Very briefly, at the end of the day, saving money for our tax-paying citizens and our residents is my priority. And when you look at those numbers, you're cutting what would potentially be, 50% of the cost. So at this point, it'd be how do you manage the change with our residents and our ratepayers? And so I think the waiver that was discussed is great. Getting input from owners of properties is, I think, going to be good to guide us in that. And then, like I said before, making sure we're communicating to the public in a different way to make sure that they're aware of the change and they can plan accordingly. Because, like we've said time and time again, this is a big change, and we want to lessen the impact as much as possible. So,
yeah, most residential leases aren't longer than a year, so that would, if we did this for a year, give the landlords ample time to change the leases.
I would make it a lot easier for me if we had buy-off from the San Diego County Board of Realtors and the San Diego County Apartment Association.
Yeah, and in fact, as the council was talking, I was thinking we'll reach out to them. They actually may have other ideas besides the waiver that may be helpful. So we'll reach out to them and solicit their input.
Okay. Do you need a motion, or do you understand what the council wants?
There is a resolution that ratifies the agreements or contracts I've already signed, and then the direction is sufficient.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to ratify that agreement and then to provide direction as we have done so.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
I'm glad to see this happening before I'm gone.
Okay. That brings us to item number 16, contracts for city manager and city attorney. Did I miss something?
Item 15 is next.
Excuse me. Item 15 is award for financial advisor services. Staff?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, good evening now. This item is actually within my signing authority, my contract authority, but this is a high priority for the city council, pension, and you're going to, if you were to approve this agreement, you'll be interacting with this contractor as they present information and projects to you. So I thought there's some value in bringing it forward tonight. For years, we have talked about and studied and paid consultants to understand our pension liability. But we haven't really done much about it except for establish that separate fund where we've been putting money, socking money away into, which we've never utilized. It's just sitting there. Partly because we don't have a financial plan that we have the capacity at the staff level to analyze to maximize that taxpayer dollar to reduce our liability. Staff's recommending that we bring on board a financial advisor to provide that service. We issued a request for a proposal. We had 4 entities that express interest. Through our evaluation committee, we've chosen Urban Futures. We feel that they have the strongest capacity to help the city identify and analyze real solutions that we can bring forward for the city council. Mr. Julio Morales from Urban Futures is here tonight to answer any questions about him or his firm, but staff would recommend that the city council adopt the resolution approving the agreement with Urban Futures Incorporation.
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Welcome, Mayor, members of the council. Thank you.
If you could just tell us a little bit about your firm and what you do.
Urban Futures is a registered municipal advisory firm. We help, in most cases, provide financial plans, help you issue bonds. We are the #1 ranked financial advisory firm in California. We have 3 different groups. One is the issuance of bonds, another is the public management group, of which I am a part of, which helps in developing financial plans, pension modeling, and they also have bond compliance. I personally have been in the municipal finance industry for 25 years. I have been an investment banker or financial advisor. I recently came back from the U.S. Treasury. I worked abroad providing financial advice to the Treasurer of Paraguay. I have 2 master's degrees. I have a degree from Harvard, UCLA, and Michigan. I actually learned to speak actuary working 4 years at Transamerica. I'm not an actuary, I'm an MBA, but I hope to be able to explain to you in plain English terms what these actuarial reports say, what the implications are, and to walk through in a process developing a plan to develop your pension funding solutions.
Would you actually be the person we'd be working with, or would there be somebody else that you would send?
I am the person. I sat in a room for 3 months and developed the pension funding model. I do all of the projections. I will attend all these meetings. If for some reason I'm not available to attend, I have 2 other senior level individuals with 25 years of experience who'd be able to attend in my lieu. But I actually do the cash flows. I attend all the meetings. My current clients are Arcadia, Pomona, Azusa, San Fernando, Simi Valley, Santa Ana. Oh my God, there's a number. Those are my current ones that I can think of, and about 4 or 5 other water districts. I speak all the time at a number of conferences. If you'd like to see me speak at the upcoming CSFMO annual conference in Disneyland, that'll be on January 29th.
All right, that's a nice invitation. Anybody have any questions? Remarkably qualified. Thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, Angela, any cards on this?
No cards, sir.
All right. We don't need a motion to close public hearing, so I'm impressed. Does anybody want to make a motion?
So move.
Second. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Thanks. We look forward to it. All right, now we are at item 16, contracts for our city manager and our city attorney. First, I need to state that California law requires that prior to taking final action on salaries, salary schedules, or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits of what are known as local agency executives, the legislative body shall orally report a summary of a recommendation for such final action. A local agency executive includes any employee of the city who is not subject to the Myers-Mealis-Brown Act, and who is the city manager, the assistant city manager, a department head, or whose position is held by an employment contract, which includes the city attorney. So, for the purposes of disclosure, this report includes action on salaries. The city manager and the city attorney will be paid in a manner consistent with all other employees. Also included is compensation in the form of fringe benefits for the local agency executive, City Manager Graham Mitchell. Now for the proposed changes. It is proposed that the city manager receive a salary increase of 5% for the possession of the International City County Management Association's credentialed manager designation. Additionally, the city manager's benefit package will include an annual executive physical examination through the provider on contract with the city. This concludes a summary of proposed changes to salaries and compensation in the form of fringe benefits to the city executives as is required by law. Does the council have any questions or comments? Angela, do we have any speaker cards?
No cards, sir.
If there's not any further discussion, would somebody like to proceed with a motion?
So move. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
There are no commission reports today. Item 17 is my activities report, which is as reported. There's no legislative report on today's agenda. Item 19 is a recommendation for the city council assignments. Angela, do you have any speaker cards?
No cards, sir.
All right. The city council would approve the city council assignments to various boards and commissions representing El Cajon as you've been instructed. Does the council have any questions or discussion about this? Yes.
Motion to approve the city council assignments as identified in the report.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
We're now at activities report for council members. Councilmember Kendrick.
I've got a couple things to add. I attended the Holocaust Memorial event at the Chula Vista Library. It was very impressive.
Great.
And I attended the Art Garfunkel concert at the Magnolia, and it was absolutely fabulous. His son was there, who's 28 years old, and he has an incredible voice. The house was packed. Everybody had a good time. It was probably one of the best concerts I've ever gone to.
It's great.
Lots of smiles on faces.
You took Jesse, right?
Yeah, I took my son Jesse.
How did he like it?
He loved it.
It's great. Thanks for telling us. Bob?
As reported.
Mr. Goebel?
I will add January 10th, attended the East County Chamber First Friday breakfast.
Super. Mr. Ortiz?
One amendment on the 13th. Yesterday I was unable to make the League of California Cities meeting. Found myself stranded in the side of the freeway. So,
No, that sounds horrible. All right, there are no joint council member reports and no general information items for discussion. We have no first readings of ordinances on today's agenda. Item 24 is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving modifications to the El Cajon Tobacco Retailers License Program. I will ask the city clerk to read the title, but first, Angela, are there any speaker cards for this item? And also, I want to remind everybody about Mr. Somo's request at the beginning of the meeting.
We do have two speakers. The first one is Courtney Hamilton.
Ms. Hamilton, hi. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name is Courtney Hamilton, and I'm here today representing on behalf of El Cajon's tobacco retailers. We want to thank you for the work that you've done on this issue and let you know that you have the full support of the tobacco retailers for your licensing proposal, the licensing proposal before you again tonight. It is our goal to be a partner with the City Council on smoking-related issues and to work together to find solutions to the problems that face us that are related to tobacco smoking. This ordinance will add much-needed revenue for additional retailer compliance checks and will give you the resources to engage in a more robust public education campaign that is essential in preventing youth from using tobacco. So thank you for the efforts you've made, and we look forward to partnering with you in the future on keeping our products out of the hands of youth and any other issues that you may see fit to work with us on.
Question?
Excuse me. There's a question for you.
Sorry. Alcohol and tobacco retailers is your
No, just for with tobacco retailers.
Tobacco retailers.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sorry.
So is this a trade association?
Yeah, there's many organizations, but I work for the National Alliance of Tobacco Outlets.
And do you have members here in El Cajon?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The second speaker is Rima Curry.
Hi, how are you? Welcome.
Council members, my name is Rima Corey. My family's lived in El Cajon for over 15 years. I represent Fumari, a premium hookah tobacco manufacturer here in San Diego, who's also a member of the Hookah Chamber of Commerce. So, we support the proposed ordinance to regulate retailers of tobacco products and the establishment of a licensing program. We commend your leadership in proposing reasonable legislation that directly addresses the rise in teen tobacco usage versus a complete flavor ban, which would include hookah, which only comes in flavors. Hookah's been around for over 1,000 years and was made centuries ago with molasses and honey. So we thank you for recognizing the cultural significance. Hookah is practiced, as many of you know, by Middle Easterners, Armenians, Chaldeans, Turks, Persians, and Indians, and it's often a centerpiece for social gatherings. It's often offered to guests as a sign of hospitality and respect. And as you can see, this is a traditional size hookah. It's not easily concealed. You can't really fit it in your pocket or backpack. It takes about 15 to 30 minutes to set up because you have to put lit coals at the top and water in the bottom. So you can't really set this up and use it during the short time of recess in between classes at school. The whole hookah setup, between its tobacco and accessories, costs over $200. So that obviously eliminates most kids. We just don't see kids running around with hookahs. You're not seeing them confiscated at schools. So, hookah's not really the problem. The FDA has mirrored that by saying that hookah's not an issue with youth because of its cumbersome nature. Even our own Governor Gavin Newsom had stated in September that hookah's just not the issue in classrooms, and I really appreciate you recognizing that. You obviously have many of these minority communities in the city of El Cajon, and there's a rich cultural diversity here in this city, and hookah is very much a part of that. So I commend you. I thank you for recognizing, thousands of years of cultural tradition.
Do you have a request for the council today? Or?
I just wanted to thank you for doing a great job.
Okay, thanks very much. Any questions? Thanks for coming.
All right, thanks.
So with your permission, sir, I can recite the title.
Let me ask something first of the council. So the request was to put this off for a couple of weeks. I'm not sure I see the point in that, but I want to make sure if anybody wanted to make that motion, I'd be glad to hear it.
Well, I think the trade association that Mr. Somo is representing is a significant group in El Cajon. My question would be more for the first speaker. If we postpone it 2 weeks, does that accommodate your schedule to come back and make your same point in front of them?
Just so you guys know, the county did hear.
Why don't you come back up to the podium? Sorry.
The county did hear this at beginning at 1 p.m. and they concluded their vote around 5 p.m. So anyone who wanted to attend both meetings would have. I testified at that meeting this afternoon. I was actually the last person opposing their ordinance to speak, and still made it here before you guys began. So if they would have liked to have come, they could have made it to both, if that factors in at all.
And you said you always like to come back to San Diego. Are you not from San Diego?
I grew up in Coronado and I went to college here, but I currently live in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. So it would be a burden for you to drive down?
Slightly, yes.
Okay. And so I understand your point. You represent tobacco retailers, of who there are members in El Cajon of your association, and you support the ordinance as written.
Yes, we do.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have a question for you. Did the Board of Supervisors make their decision?
They did.
And what was that?
I believe they voted to adopt as proposed. So they implemented a TRL, which, as we've been going around and fully supporting across the state, they also put in a full flavor ban with only exemptions for hookah, and not just for on-site, but hookah in totality. as well as a outdoor smoking ban for dining areas with a buffer zone. Is, I believe, the totality of their measures. It was a very robust meeting.
I bet. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, just so you know, we also sent the draft ordinance to all those that have a retail license with us, and we have not received feedback pro or against that, or pro or con against the draft ordinance.
Sure. Just to be completely fair, getting done with a county meeting at 5, you would have no reason to believe that our meeting would still be going on this long. But anyway, I leave it to you.
I think we're going to do it anyway. Might as well get it done.
Steve, did you want to request a postponement?
Well, let's talk about the issue of fairness before we don't feel like we're rushing into this. If Mr. Soma represents a sizable group in El Cajon that really have a financial impact on this, the question is, could anybody else in that group besides Mr. Somo have come to appear? And I think Mr. Mitchell said, hey, all these people got notice of this proposed change, all the members, and you didn't receive any feedback, correct, Mr. Mitchell?
That's correct.
So I think if somebody objected, I think everybody's had a fair shot to make their...
That's my feeling, but I wanted to make sure everybody had an opportunity if they wanted to.
Yeah, I just think we need to, sometimes we need to communicate things out loud so the public knows that we've vetted and thought about all of these things.
All right. Angela, then you're free to read the...
Thank you, sir. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of El Cajon, California, amending Chapter 8.33 of the El Cajon Municipal Code to regulate retailers of tobacco products and electronic vapor devices, and establishing a license for such activities.
All right. I need a motion then.
So move.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, that brings us to closed session. Our city attorney will recite the title and lead us in the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council is meeting in closed session on 3 items, each of which is involved with either existing or anticipated litigation. The first is a conference with legal counsel for existing litigation pursuant to paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9. The name of the case is Climate Action Campaign versus City of El Cajon. The second is for a conference with legal counsel on anticipated litigation. The council will be listening to reports and deciding whether to initiate litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9. There's one potential case. And the third is a closed session for conference with legal counsel on existing litigation pursuant to paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9. The title of the case is El Cajon Police Officers Association versus City of El Cajon.
Thank you. I'll make a motion then to adjourn the closed session.
Second.
Move in second, please vote.
I apologize. I do need to reset the vote. Sorry. Please vote. Mr. McClellan, I apologize. May I have your vote?
Absolutely.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll briefly move into closed session. We'll be back in a few minutes to finish the council meeting. I will ask our attorney to report on actions taken in closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council met on the 3 items listed in the agenda. On item 25, the City Council gave direction to received a report. No direction was made. On item 26, they received a report and gave direction to legal counsel. And on item 27, they received a report and gave direction to the city's legal counsel.
Great. Okay, this brings us to adjournment. The regular joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council and El Cajon Housing Authority, held this 14th day of January 2020, is adjourned till Tuesday, January 28th, 2020 at 3 o'clock p.m. Thank you.